today we have in the plenary a technological challenge, so to speak. We have two of our panelists live in person right here, and three of our panelists are coming virtually live and joining us over Zoom. Language will be an issue. We'll run the session in English, and we request all participants who have a problem with English and can only understand partially and you want to use your local language, please do note down the frequencies that Kavita Srinivasan will announce and tune in on your mobile phones for interpretation that will be real time. Please, do this little thing so that you don't feel frustrated about not being able to follow the discussions that are happening. आप सबको आज के दिन का जो सत्र है उसमें स्वागत है और आपसे ये अनुरोध है कि अगर आप अंग्रेजी फॉलो नहीं कर पाते हैं तो कृपया आपके सेल फोन्स में जो रेडियो फ्रीक्वेंसीज यहाँ कविता श्रीनिवासन अनाउंस करेगी उसमें हिंदी कौन सा है वो नोट कर लीजिए और अपने फोन और उसको आप उसमें उस फ्रीक्वेंसी में ट्यून कर लीजिए। ये सत्र लगभग पूरा इंग्लिश में ही चलेगा एंड इट इज अ 2.5 hour सेशन। ये सत्र 2.5 घंटे के लिए चलेगा और बहुत महत्वपूर्ण सत्र है। इंडिया के अलग अलग राज्यों में राज्य सरकारें क्या कर रही है उसके बारे में ये सत्र है और उसमें से हम क्या लेसन सीख रहे हैं उसके बारे में है। तो प्लीज ये रेडियो फ्रीक्वेंसीज आप नोट करके अनुवाद के लिए आपके फोन का सहारा लीजिएगा। थैंक्स।
ಕನ್ನಡಕ್ಕಾಗಿ 87.5 ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಫ್ರೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಿ. ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಯರ್ಫೋನ್ ಹಾಕೋಲೇಬೇಕು ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾರೋರು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಹೇಗೆ ಫ್ರೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಿ ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. 87.5 కన్నడక్కాగి, తమిళ్ 95.4, తెలుగు కోసము 96.5 ట్యూన్ చేయండి, ఇంగ్లీష్ 97.4, हिंदी 108, हिंदी के लिए आप 108 रेडियो फ्रीक्वेंसी FM फ्रीक्वेंसी पे आप ट्यून कीजिए. ಮತ್ತೆ ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಕನ್ನಡ 87.5. ಇದು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಅಂಗಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಬಾಗ್ಲಿನ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಹೊರಗಡೆನೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸೋದು ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಯರ್ಫೋನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಇದು ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಗೋಷ್ಠಿ. ಇವಾಗ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳು ತಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನುವ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವಿನಿಮಯ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಗಮನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಭಾಷೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ಒಂದು ಕೋಪ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಬೇಜಾರಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಏನ್ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡಿ.
Two more announcements, one announcement in 2 languages. All parallel sessions will be run again today, both at 2 p.m. and at 4 p.m. We have in the schedule mentioned language-wise sessions where some are happening in some slots, some are not happening. But given the fact that yesterday there was a lot of confusion, we have decided to run all sessions in both the time slots today. That includes appropriate technologies and several other sessions that were not scheduled today. All parallel sessions will happen, and we are putting in our efforts to improve on signages. Hopefully you will be able to go to whichever classroom and physical space you have to go to much more easily. We'll place volunteers and we will also announce in the lunch area about how to go to your rooms. Please make best use of the parallel session time and space. Thanks.
कल पता चला कि बहुत सारे कंफ्यूजन थे, तो सारे सत्र आज भी चलेगा। 2 बजे एक सत्र होगा, हर पैरेलल सेशन जो थीम्स थे, और 4 बजे में एक सत्र रहेगा. ನೆನ್ನೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಗಳಾಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಚರ್ಚಾಗೋಷ್ಠಿಗಳು 2 ಸ್ಲಾಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ. 2 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನಕ್ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ, 4 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನಕ್ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ವಾಲಂಟಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತರ್ಜುಮೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕೆಲವರು ಭಾಷೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋರ್ನ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ.
May I request Vasu to please come here?
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ತಿರ್ಗಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಕರೀರಿ. ఫోన్ ಮಾಡಿ, ఫోన్ ಇದೆ ಎಲ್ಲರ కైಯಲ್ಲಿ. మీ ఫ్రెండ్స్ అందరూ బయట ఉన్నారు, వాళ్ళందరికీ ఫోన్ చేసి పిలవండి లోపల. कृपया आप अपने दोस्तों जो बाहर है उन सबको बुलाइए. अभी बस 2-3 मिनट में कार्यक्रम शुरू होने वाला है. Please call your friends who are outside roaming around. I think breakfast is over, so the session will start in another couple of minutes.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ. ಈ 3 ದಿನಗಳ ಸಮ್ಮೇಳನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಪ್ರಾಮುಖ್ಯತೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಹತ್ವ ಕೊಡುವಂತದ್ದು ಅಂತ. The importance has been given to soil carbon also. So why we need soil carbon? What is the status of our soil carbon in our country, in our soils? Many discussions are going on. But many people are not talking about that, how to take it to the farmers. So in this context, someone has written a small poem on soil organic carbon. It is in Kannada, so I am singing that. Ingala, Manigingala. Ingala means carbon, organic, soil organic carbon. ಇಂಗಾಲ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗಿಂಗಾಲ, ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ತರುವುದು ಸಿಂಗಾರ, ಮಾಡುವುದು ಮಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಬಂಗಾರ. ಇಂಗಾಲ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗಿಂಗಾಲ, ಇಂಗಾಲ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗಿಂಗಾಲ, ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ತರುವುದು ಸಿಂಗಾರ, ಮಾಡುವುದು ಮಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಬಂಗಾರ. ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಹಸಿರೆಲೆ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಹಾಕಿ, ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಹಸಿರೆಲೆ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಹಾಕಿ, ಸಗಣಿ ಗೊಬ್ಬರವೂ ಜೊತೆಗಿರಲಿ ಬಾಕಿ, ಸಗಣಿ ಗೊಬ್ಬರವೂ ಜೊತೆಗಿರಲಿ ಬಾಕಿ. ಮಣ್ಣು ಜೀವಿಗಳ ಸಂಕುಲ ಸಾಕಿ, ಮಣ್ಣು ಜೀವಿಗಳ ಸಂಕುಲ ಸಾಕಿ, ಮಣ್ಣಿಗ ಜೀವಿಗಣದ ಪಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗ ಜೀವಿಗಣದ ಪಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿ. ಇಂಗಾಲ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗಿಂಗಾಲ, ಇಂಗಾಲ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗಿಂಗಾಲ, ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ತರುವುದು ಸಿಂಗಾರ, ಮಾಡುವುದು ಮಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಬಂಗಾರ. ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಲೋಕಾದಿ ಬಹುಜೀವಿ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ, ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಲೋಕಾದಿ ಬಹುಜೀವಿ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ, ಮೇಲಿನ ಲೋಕವ ಕಾಪಾಡೋ ದೃಷ್ಟಿ, ಮೇಲಿನ ಲೋಕವ ಕಾಪಾಡೋ ದೃಷ್ಟಿ. ಹೊಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಬೇಕದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಗಣಿಯ ಪುಷ್ಟಿ, ಹೊಟ್ಟೆಗೆ ಬೇಕದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಗಣಿಯ ಪುಷ್ಟಿ, ತಂಪಾದ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗ ಸಂತುಷ್ಟಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ತಂಪಾದ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗ ಸಂತುಷ್ಟಿ. ಇಂಗಾಲ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗಿಂಗಾಲ, ಇಂಗಾಲ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗಿಂಗಾಲ, ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ತರುವುದು ಸಿಂಗಾರ, ಮಾಡುವುದು ಮಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಬಂಗಾರ. ದಟ್ಟ ಬಣ್ಣದಿ ಹೊಳೆಯೋ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಬಣ್ಣ, ದಟ್ಟ ಬಣ್ಣದಿರೋ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಬಣ್ಣ, ಕಣಕಣ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಬೆರೆಯೋ ಘಟನ, ಕಣಕಣ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಬೆರೆಯೋ ಘಟನ. ಮಳೆ ನೀರ ಹೀರೋದ ಕಾಣೋದೆ ಚೆನ್ನ, ಮಳೆ ನೀರ ಹೀರೋದ ಕಾಣೋದೆ ಚೆನ್ನ. ಮಣ್ಣಿಗ ಬಹುತೇಕ ಸಂಪನ್ನ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗ ಬಹುತೇಕ ಸಂಪನ್ನ. ಇಂಗಾಲ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗಿಂಗಾಲ, ಇಂಗಾಲ ಮಣ್ಣಿಗಿಂಗಾಲ, ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ತರುವುದು ಸಿಂಗಾರ, ಮಾಡುವುದು ಮಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಬಂಗಾರ. ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ತರುವುದು ಸಿಂಗಾರ, ಮಾಡುವುದು ಮಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಬಂಗಾರ. ಮಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ತರುವುದು ಸಿಂಗಾರ, ಮಾಡುವುದು ಮಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಬಂಗಾರ.
Namaskara, Namaste, good morning everyone. We'll start the second day of the Sammelan now. I want to begin by thanking the panelists who have been already with us for the past 10 minutes for your patience. My name is Kavita Kuruganti and this is...
I'm Shri Lakshmi Kuti.
We will both moderate this session. And it is a very, very important session. We will run this in English. And please do tune in for translations into your phones. And the frequencies have already been announced. If you are unable to use the phone for translation, please make sure that you find somebody who will translate. अगर आप ये जो टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से जो अनुवाद हो रहा है उसका ठीक से इस्तेमाल नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, किसी ऐसे साथी को पकड़िए जो आपकी भाषा समझते हैं और उनके बगल में बैठ के आप अनुवाद कराइए. I don't know how to say this in Kannada. I guess somebody will help with that also. In this session, we will focus on how is ecological farming being scaled up in India, especially by different state governments. Remember, those of you who have been part of this ecological farming movement in India for several decades, there was a time when the public as well as the governments would not even acknowledge that there was a problem with the chemical intensive agricultural paradigm. So beginning with that, beginning with establishing that there is indeed a lot of issues with chemical paradigm, we have moved to a stage where there has been an acknowledgement that there's a roadblock or a dead end to that paradigm and that deep transformations are necessary. And there's been an acceptance that ecological farming, by whatever name it goes, it could be organic farming, it could be natural farming, it could be more, complexly evolved permaculture or any other kind of agro-ecological approach. There is now an acknowledgement that that is the path on which humankind itself has to move. But the question that remains is, how does one scale up? How does one take this to more and more farmers and make them adopt it? And some state governments of India are seriously involved in figuring this out. Some are ahead of others. A few others are, committed towards converting their farmers towards practicing ecological farming, but they are probably still figuring out how to do it. And to tell us about what is happening here, we have excellent representatives of 4 state governments: Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Himachal Pradesh, and Kerala. And we have a well-known civil society representative who will talk about what is happening all over India from whatever vantage he is occupying at this point of time. And therefore, we'll get a very large view of what is happening here. I'd like to invite our panelists for the day. I'll begin by inviting Shri Vijay Kumar Garu from Andhra Pradesh. He is the Special Chief Secretary of the Andhra Pradesh government. Thank you, sir, for being with us, Vijay Kumar Garu. Our next guest is... Our next guest is Shri Pradeep Sharma, and he is the advisor to the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, and there is a lot that we will hear about what is happening. Rajeshwar Chandel, who's the Vice Chancellor of Dr. Y.S. Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry from Himachal Pradesh. Rohit, can you confirm whether Dr. Chandel is in the call? You're getting him in? Yeah. So he will be with us. And a lot of the university students and faculty members are right here in person in the Sammelan. And we are very happy that the university and Himachal Pradesh government took this step. We'll hear from Himachal Pradesh also. And we have Dr. Lisimol Vadukoot. May I invite you, Dr. Lisimol, to please join us here on the stage. Please come to the stage. She is the Assistant Director of Agriculture in the State Seed Farm in Aluva in Ernakulam district of Kerala. And yesterday we heard the Kerala Agriculture Minister talk about an entirely carbon neutral farm that they have already created. And I'm hoping that Dr. Vadukoot will talk not just about the farm, but about what is happening in Kerala. And may I invite Mr. Ravindra, who could easily have been Dr. Ravindra. I think he chose not to complete his PhD course. He is from Vasan. He also represents a very vibrant network of CSOs, scientists and others called Revitalising Rainfed Agriculture Network, RRA Network. And Ravindra is also part of the steering committee of the National Coalition for Natural Farming. Thank you both for joining us in person, and thank you Vijay Kumar Garu and Pradeep Sharma ji. We'll begin this session. It is a hybrid mode session. We'll have speakers there, we'll have speakers here. It is also hybrid in a different way. They will make presentations first to give us an overview of what exactly is happening in terms of the government intervention in scaling up ecological farming in their respective states, 10 to 15 minutes at the most, after which there will be a question and answer session, almost like a talk show format, where the moderators will ask them some very specific questions about their government intervention, following which I'll be inviting Ravindra, who has an excellent overview of what's happening in different states and through different departments. Ravindra is someone who's experienced in understanding what tribal welfare departments are doing, what rural development departments are doing, what agriculture departments are doing, what horticulture departments are doing in different states, as well as the national flagship schemes of Government of India with regard to ecological farming. I would be inviting Ravindra the last after the Q&A. May I request Shri Vijay Kumar Garu to please go ahead with his presentation, with his 15 minutes of presentation. Welcome, sir, again. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Kavita. Given that the time is very short, I'll dive into the presentation straight away. Sorry. Is it visible? Kavita, is it visible?
It is visible.
Fine. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So big thanks to Kisan Swaraj Sammelan, the Alliance for Sustainable and Holistic Agriculture, for organizing this. I'm sorry I'm not there. I was present last time. It was a very enjoyable experience. So coming to scaling up of natural farming, the Andhra Pradesh experience. So in Andhra Pradesh, we call the program as Andhra Pradesh Community Managed Natural Farming. It is implemented by Rait Sadhikar Samastha, Department of Agriculture, Government of Andhra Pradesh. State government has created a separate department called the Department of Natural Farming, so that this is taken up in a mission mode. So our vision is that by 2031, all 60 lakhs farmer households in Andhra Pradesh and 20 lakhs farm worker households. And we plan to cover the entire 60 lakh hectares of farmland of the state. So this is the vision. And I'll focus, of course, there are impacts, but I'll also focus on the scaling up. So, and why we should do natural farming, impacts, and how scaling up is happening. This you're all very familiar. We have multiple emergencies, farmers' distress, consumer crisis of around health, food safety, lack of micronutrients, and most important, what is happening to the environment. Soil degradation. We just heard a poem on soil organic matter, soil carbon, but you're also having a water emergency. There is global warming, decreased biodiversity. So the foundation on which the entire civilization rests is shaking. And that is the seriousness of this crisis. So this is just to show that fertilizer use increased 13 kgs per hectare in 70 to 130 kgs per hectare, 10 times. That's how we have been treating our soils. Now, this is an important slide to show that farmers are facing the climate emergency. They are the first ones to face this. At the same time, the current method of farming is among the biggest cause of climate change. So this is the dilemma right now. We are in a vicious cycle. Farmers are victims. At the same time, the method of agriculture itself is leading to climate change. And variety of factors, deforestation, forest fires, ploughing, keeping lands fallow, overgrazing, excess irrigation, wind and water erosion. Over the last 60 years, the use of synthetic biocides, fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, weedicides has accelerated this. So it is our belief that farming in harmony with nature is a solution for all these multiple emergencies. In a few slides, I'll show how it is possible. But natural farming means farming in harmony with nature. Kavita is right. There are many names. There's also a little confusion about these different names. So we thought, why don't we go into what are the principles behind these names, so that on that there could be consensus. So these principles have evolved over times immemorial. These are not man-made. So the photosynthesis process, this slide is just to show that plants are feeding the soil at all times. 60% of the food manufactured by the plants actually feeds the soil. So if you keep land fallow, you're starving the soil microbes in the soil. So this food is in turn utilized by the bacteria, the fungi, the archaea, various. There's a wonderful life below the soil. And in turn, they are providing to the plant all the nutrients they require. Not only nutrients, but also the soil structure for water storage, holding water, allowing water infiltration. So the soil structure itself is a result of soil biology. Now, given the fact that in nature, it is the plants which are feeding the soil, and that's how the soils got formed. So keeping this in mind, we have formulated what we call as universal principles of natural farming. And first and foremost is to keep the soil covered with crops 365 days of the year. It's called the living root principle. And there should be diverse crops and preferably trees in the landscape and with minimal disturbance of soils. And also keeping the soil covered with organic residues in those periods when plants are not growing in semi-arid areas or between two crops. Then integration of animals into farming. The biological products, cow dung based products, cow urine based products, we categorize them as biostimulants. They are catalysts in the whole process of activating the soil biology. Use of indigenous seed. And this is very important. Indigenous seed, farmers' own seed. Because scientists are now saying that each seed also carries a microbiome. A typical seed grain will have around 7 billion microbes inside the seed. So therefore, a healthy soil will also produce seed with good microbiome. And pest management with better agronomic practices, botanical extracts. So we have one red box which says no synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, weedicides. So these are the 9 principles, and the practices vary from state to state, region to region, even village to village and farmer to farmer. But if we are in harmony with these principles, we are on the right path. And in my opinion, really names do not matter. Each state can call it whatever they want. But for us, these principles, these are universal principles, not only for India, but also in other countries. These principles are based on laws of nature, so they are applicable everywhere. So I'll just skip this. You can just see this is the bioinoculums that we use. And it's very important because they are stimulating the seed microbiome, and also they interact with the soil microbes when they are used in the soil. So their exact role is still very complex, but adequate to know that if you follow various principles, they act in harmony and give us the desired results. Yeah. So now coming to scaling up. So in Andhra Pradesh, we started the program in 2016, and we have very dedicated implementation mechanism. So we had about 40,000 farmers enrolled from 700 villages. And last year, we were able to take the number to 630,000 farmers. And we have footprint in 27% villages, and around 10 to 12% farmers are covered, 4% of area is covered. And this year we are looking at crossing 10 lakh farmers who join this program. Please remember, it takes 3 to 5 years for a farmer to change. And in our program, we do not provide any cash incentives during transition. And we are also not promising that there will be market premium after transition. And you all know 86% of our farmers are small marginal farmers. So this program is funded by state government, Government of India, and state government has taken a loan from KFW Bank. We also are being supported by Azim Premji Philanthropy, and this has been very useful in the way the program has shaped up. So a lot of people have doubts what happens to yields, costs. So we are doing independent assessment. And let me tell you, this is the largest assessment in the world. More than 1,000 farmers are and control about 500, 600 farmers are monitored every year and 2 times a year, both the seasons. And you can see out of the 6 major crops of Andhra Pradesh, paddy, groundnut, cotton, black gram, red gram, ragi, the yields of our farmers practicing natural farming is higher for all the crops except for black gram. But costs are much lower for every crop. And more important, net income increases, ranges from 60% in paddy to 700% in ragi. Ragi also a combined impact of the guli ragi method and the natural farming method combination. Similar result during rabi, we had income increases ranging from 14% to 129%. And then we have a special program for landless farm workers. We call it household, kitchen gardens, homestead gardens. So the idea is that every household has 12 to 18 different kinds of vegetables, fruits, so that the household nutrition requirement is met. And this year we have a very big target of covering around 500,000 landless farm workers in the same villages. So that when we enter a village, so every household is impacted by the program. It's not just a few farmers in the village. It's all the farmers in the village and also all the farm workers. So that 100% every household is impacted in one way or the other. And that's also the reason why there is so much of, cohesion in the villages. Biodiversity improves, then resilience to floods, and water requirement in natural farming is around 50% less compared to chemical agriculture. And these are all our major crops. And this is a very interesting impact. Vanurama is a farmer in Anantapur, a semi-arid area. So through natural farming, she has been able to reclaim her land, which was lying fallow for about 8 years. And she is taking 3 crops in rain-fed area. And that is what is possible through natural farming. Through this, we discovered a very interesting, very important scientific principle that through natural farming, plants are able to harness water from the air. So you need not have drought in any part of the country, because 365 days of the year, there are about 10 rivers of water in the air. And our farmers in Anantapur are getting 3 crops in a year. And there are thousands of farmers who are earning more than 100,000 rupees net income per acre in a semi-arid rain-fed area. Now, very quickly, scaling up requires, according to me, these 6 pillars: government support, then knowledge, research and innovations around natural farming. But most important is the social capital, the women self-help groups and federations, and the extension system, which is farmer-centric. So farmer-to-farmer extension system, because this is knowledge-intensive agriculture, not input-intensive agriculture. But also requires facilitating organizations, because there is a 5-year journey for each farmer. So government, NGOs, and community-based organizations have a very important role. And I believe that collaborations with scientific institutions, with institutions within the country, outside the country, because everybody is trying to learn from everyone else. So these collaborations are very critical, and we have very greatly benefited from the inputs from scientists across the world, and also academic organizations, philanthropic organizations across the world. So the role of women is the most important one, I would say, and they have multiple roles. And the fact the self-help group networks were developed in each state, and Andhra Pradesh was one of the leaders of the self-help group movement. That is the real foundation for us for scaling up. Technology, according to me, is only some 5-10% of the issue. Scaling up requires strong social capital and involvement of women self-help groups, farmers organizations, and in multiple ways. For learning from each other, supporting each other during transition, for collective action, for including the poorest among them. Then the other major important reason for our success is our extension system is based on farmers. So we have 10,000 farmer trainers. Each one looks after 100 farmers. And they come from the self-help groups. They come young farmers within the village. They are able to grasp this knowledge, practice it, and they're all best practicing farmers, no theory. So only somebody who has practiced natural farming, has done it well, earns the right to train, not the degrees. Then this is an important slide that you need to have a long-term hand-holding strategy. So it's not over in 3 years or 5 years. It may take 8 years, 10 years. Tribal areas may be over in 6 years, but very heavy, irrigated areas, heavy chemical intensive areas may take 8 years, 10 years. So we have to be prepared for a long support, hand-holding support, initially from government NGOs, but beyond 10 years, it should be the farmers organizations, women's groups. So to me, this is the most important slide in my presentation on what it takes to cover every farmer in a village. And if you don't have this strategy, it is very difficult to scale up. And we have research collaborations with institutions across the world. So these are some international organizations who are helping us in research, and these are Indian institutions. But we also have a collaboration with the State Agriculture University for comparing natural farming and conventional agriculture. We have in-house studies, and we are now setting up a Indo-German Global Academy for Agro-Ecology Research and Learning. And we not only want to cover Andhra Pradesh, but also any state which is willing to come learn from this or participate in the research. So, yeah, the last slide. Our idea is to create climate resilient villages, which then improve the soil organic matter, water holding, biodiversity. So the environment benefits, farmers' livelihoods are protected, and citizens' health is protected. And more important, young people have a well-paying job in their own village. So through the Research Academy, because this is knowledge-intensive agriculture, we plan to develop 10,000 farmer scientists come trainers, so that they can in turn nurture about 100,000 farmer trainers. And we'll create about 600,000 lead farmers. That means 1 per 10 farmers or 1 per every woman self-help group is a lead person, helps the group in this transition. So just to conclude that it is extremely important to have a strategy for scaling up. The technology, the science of natural farming, what should be done, what should not be done, is only one element. And quite a lot of it is, by now, I would say fairly well known. But what is important is, how do you take this knowledge to every farmer and stay with the farmers, farmer family, women, men, elders in the family. So entire family is the unit for this knowledge dissemination. How do you stay with a family? How do you allow the whole village to transform? I can say, to change one farmer, you have to change the entire village. To change one village, you have to change the entire state. So it is that vision with which we are working. And I'm sure in almost all the states, there is a very good network of self-help groups. There's a good network of NGOs. There's very good culture of promoting extension through best practicing farmers. So all the ingredients are there. So the state governments need to take it seriously, more seriously, I mean. And there's a great benefit for the state governments. What I have found is, if it costs 1 rupee for a government, if government puts in 1 rupee in this entire extension system, government saves 5 rupees in fertilizer subsidies and in subsidies for electricity, because 50% of electricity is saved. I'm not counting the water saving, other benefits to health benefits, etc. Only in these benefits, governments stand to gain at least 5 times. And in view of this, increases in the fertilizer prices, etc., this saving may even be 8 to 10 times. So it is in the government's own interest from a financial perspective. Government saves its own budget, and it can be used for more farmer welfare in a different way. So I'll conclude here, Kavita. Thank you very much. And I really wish I was there. I'm feeling bad that I'm not there. Thank you. Over.
Thank you for your excellent presentation as usual. We'll have 3-4 minutes of the Kannada gist being
ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಾರಾಂಶ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಬ್ರೀಫ್ ಆಗಿ. ಇವರು ವಿಜಯ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ, ರೈತ ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶನಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಚೀಫ್ ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟರಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಅನುಭವಗಳನ್ನ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಈಗ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ 2016ರಿಂದ ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವ್ರು ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ 40,000 ರೈತರು 700 ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳನ್ನ ತಲುಪ್ತಾ ಈಗ ಒಂದು 2,700 ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳು 27,000 ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳನ್ನ ತಲುಪ್ತಾ 63,000 ರೈತರ ಜೊತೆ ಪರಿಸರ ಕೃಷಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಂದಿನ ದಿನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇವಾಗ ತಲುಪಿರೋದವರು ಸುಮಾರು 10 ಲಕ್ಷ ಕೃಷಿಕರು. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ತರ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಟೆನ್ಸಿವ್ ಅಲ್ದೇನೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ತಂದು ಒಳಸುರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಹಾಕ್ದೇನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಕೃಷಿಗಳನ್ನ ತೊಡಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು ತಮ್ಮ ಇಳುವರಿಯನ್ನ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಮತ್ತೆ ಉತ್ಪಾದನಾ ವೆಚ್ಚವನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ತಮ್ಮ ಲಾಭವನ್ನ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತ ರೈತರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವ್ರನ್ನ ಮಾನಿಟರ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರೇ ಒಂದು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಕಲ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಜನರಲ್ದೇನೆ ಯಾರು ಕೃಷಿ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸದೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂತ ರೈತರು ಯಾರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರೇ ಈ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ರೈತರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮಾನಿಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಇವರು ತಲುಪಿರೋದು ಭೂಹೀನ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಿಚನ್ ಗಾರ್ಡನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನ್ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸಣ್ಣ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ತಲುಪಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅಂತಹ ಜನರ ರೈತರ ಜೊತೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಚಿತ್ರ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರು. ವನ್ನೂರಮ್ಮ ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು. ವನ್ನೂರಮ್ಮ ಅವರು ಸತತವಾಗಿ 8 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಬರೀ ಬರಗಾಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡೇ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು. ಅವರು ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಈ ಪರಿಸರ ಪೂರಕ ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನು ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಹೋದಾಗ ವರ್ಷದ 1 ವರ್ಷ ಪೂರ್ತಿ 365 ದಿನ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಹಸಿರನ್ನೇ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಹಸಿರು ಕಂಡ್ರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಹೊರಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ಏನದು ಬರಗಾಲ ಇರ್ಲಿ ಮಳೆ ಇರ್ಲಿ ಆ ಭೂಮಿನ ಎಷ್ಟು ಫಲವತ್ತತೆ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಗಾಳಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ನೀರಿನ ಅಂಶ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಆಗುವಂತ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು 3 ಇಳುವರಿಯನ್ನ ತೆಗಿತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಎಂತ ಪರಿಸರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ ಚಾಮರಾಜನಗರ ತರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೆಮಿ ಆರಿಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೀರಿನ ಅಂಶ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ವಾತಾವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನೀರು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ನೀರನ್ನ ಹೊರಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ದೇನೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು. ಇವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಇದು ಬೇರೆ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು 8 ಆಧಾರ ಸ್ತಂಭಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ನೋವೇಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡಿಪಾಯ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್. ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲಿಂದ ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಇದೆ. ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಸಂಘಗಳು, ಮಹಿಳಾ ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಸಂಘಗಳು ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಅಡಿಪಾಯದನ್ನೇ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಅದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಅವರು ಇನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚೆಚ್ಚು ರೈತರ ಜೊತೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಒಂದು ರೈತರು ತಮ್ಮ ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರಿಗೆ ಹಂಚ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಅಂತಹ ಕೃಷಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೀ ಹಣ ಒಂದೇ ಅಲ್ದೇನೆ ಹಣ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸುಮಾರು ಮೊದಲು 7 ವರ್ಷ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವು ಕಡೆ ಭೂಮಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದರ ಜಾಗದಿಂದ 1-2 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವ್ರು ಇದಾಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಇಂದ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಬರ್ಬಹುದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲವ್ರಿಗೆ 7 ವರ್ಷದ ತನಕ ತಗೋಬಹುದು. ಇಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮತ್ತೆ NGOಗಳ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 10 ವರ್ಷದ ತನಕ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾದಷ್ಟು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆನೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು. ಸೊ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಡುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಸಮುದಾಯ ನಿರ್ಧಾರವಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ಹೆಚ್ಚೆಚ್ಚು ಒಂದು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತ ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದರ ಯೋಗದಾನ ಬರೀ 10% ಮಾತ್ರನೇ. ಇನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕವಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಘ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಯೋಗದಾನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಹಿಳಾ ರೈತರು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಪಾತ್ರ ವಹಿಸೋದು. ಈ ತರ ಕೃಷಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಹಿಳಾ ರೈತರ ಒಂದು ಏನಿದೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಸದೃಢ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೇನೆ ನಾವು ಈ ತರ ಕೃಷಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಗಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ತರ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟು ಒಂದು 7 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲೇನೆ ಸುಮಾರು ಒಂದು 85% ಏನು ರೈತ ಬಾಂಧವರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ತಲುಪಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೃಷಿ ಭೂಮಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ 85% ಅಷ್ಟು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ತಲುಪಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಆಧಾರ ಸ್ತಂಭ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ. ಈಗ ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಈ ತರ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ 10,000 ರೈತರನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ದೇನೆ ಬರೀ ಪರಿಸರ ಪೂರಕ ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂತ 10,000 ರೈತರೇ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲೆಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಹತ್ತರವಾದ ಸಾಧನೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲೆಡೆ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವರು ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಆಶಾಭಾವನೆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಪಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಕ್ತಾರೆ.
Thank you, Kavita. Thank you to all the translators who are sitting there, the interpreters who've been working very hard since yesterday. Thank you. We'll
I just invite Mr. Pradeep Sharma, advisor to the CM Chhattisgarh. Sir, if you can start your presentation. Sir, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So, namaskar to everybody, and thank you for giving me a chance to be at your place online. Unfortunately, I could not attend that, which I was willing to, but because of certain engagement, which is sudden but necessary, I'm not able to attend it. So, Chhattisgarh government has done one effort to take some steps towards more ecological farming. And that ecological farming is not only a farming stuff, it's all around the improvement of the society. It's biodiversity, cattle conservation, water conservation, and all that. So when this government came in power 4 years back, this Congress government, which is the new government, so they have called us, who are already working in different parts of Chhattisgarh as part of civil society. So, and they asked us to develop one holistic program which can improve soil fertility, organic soil content, water conservation, and the biggest menace, which is orphan cattle, stray cattle, moving all around the state. And because of this biostress, the second crop, which is Rabi crop, which is rain-fed almost in Chhattisgarh, was diminishing, reducing by 70 to 80%. So we have made a plan. Can I share some of the slides here?
Rohit, can you do the screen sharing, please?
Hello? Did you get
Yes.
it?
Yes, yes, sir. We can hear you. They're just working on
Okay.
it.
So have you seen that full screen?
will you make him co-host, please? He wants to share screen.
Okay.
Pradeep ji, 15 minutes में अगर आप share कर सकते हैं.
More less than that.
Sure.
So should I share it?
Yes, please. We can see your screen. You have to select your presentation.
Yeah, I've selected it. So
Yeah.
did you get it?
Give us a minute. It's still looping. I'll alert you as soon as it starts.
Okay. So let me keep on speaking that.
Just 1 second. They're still making you a co-host. Have you made him co-host? Yeah, now you can try again.
Okay.
Sorry about
So-
this. Please make all your speakers co-hosts.
So
Yes, ma'am, he's co-host.
okay. So can I share this?
Just give us 1 second. What is the issue? Yes. Yes, it started. We are able to see your screen. You can go into presentation mode.
Yes. So the program is called Gram Swaraj or Suraji Gram in Chhattisgarhi. Through Narva, Garva, Gurva, Bari, we can call it NGGB. Narva means reveal it in Chhattisgarhi. Garva means cattle. Gurva means organic compost. And Bari means this homestead gardens, which is behind every small household in the village. You know, Chhattisgarh has a very huge uh, population of cattle, that is almost around 1.27 crores cows and buffaloes. So bovine population is almost 1/3 of the total population of Chhattisgarh. So that is one. Second, we have huge number of rivulets because Chhattisgarh is a place where northeast and southwest monsoon meets together. And we have rainfall season almost around 82 days. So after Himalaya, Chhattisgarh is the second riverine state from where huge rivers like Narmada, Son, Godavari, and Mahanadi, the biggest one, is started. Godavari does not start from here, but it crosses through. So we supply 23% water to Ganges system and 18% of Godavari system and 100% of Mahanadi river system. So we have almost 32,000 rivulets in Chhattisgarh. So 1 crore 20 lakh bovine population and almost 32,000 small rivulets, which is 2 to 11 kilometers. So that makes Chhattisgarh very ecological, and almost 44% of state is covered by forest. And we have a huge biodiversity. Like, for example, Chhattisgarh is called one of the bowl of rice in India, and we have 28,000 variety of rice only. Forget about others. And we have collected it, and there is a museum in university. But that has been developed by villagers in traditions, and they cultivating it. So there we have a huge biodiversity. Why we have a huge biodiversity? Because we have a very good organic soil, and second, we have a huge rainy season that gives rise to very congenial atmosphere for any production like rice. But over the years, due to chemical changes in the soil, due to temperatures, moreover, it's a complete climate change and some technological interventions in the village. After arrival of tractor in the village society, almost 90% of bullocks were totally useless. And the cows in Chhattisgarh were not actually conserved for the milk, because traditionally we have so rich biodiversity, so much leafy vegetables, fruits, and other things, that we don't focus too much on the milk production of cows. Rather, cows for us is one of the great source of organic compost, which is extremely important in the soil we have in Chhattisgarh. Our soil is limestone.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you running through your slides? Because we are still at Gram Swaraj through NGGB, the title.
No, I will come to the next one very soon.
Okay. Sorry. I thought maybe there was a problem with the presentation. Okay.
So these are the situation in Chhattisgarh. So Chhattisgarh was it was like a very rich society, and you can see this was a general village in terms of resource, innovation, and skill. We have huge number of biodiversity, seeds, sovereignty, and folk arts, music, metallurgy, all that in the village. But later on, with the climate change, the rivers has been drought, completely rivers have been dried totally, and then they're depleting rural resources. This at least 3 days of water days, rainy days, reduced to 52 days of rainy days. From 1200 mm of rainfall, it reduced to almost around 850 mm of rainfalls in the central state of Chhattisgarh. And because of the problems of water and other things, and this cattle population has been thrown out of their homes, and they're roaming around in the main roads of the state, like most of the northern states. And that has created a lot of stress on the second crop, first crop, and the farmers were very, very stressed because of that. So because of all these reasons, we have selected this program called Rivulet Regeneration, Cattle Conservation, Biodynamic Compost Pits, and backyard nutrition support through the bodies. So we stressed about Jal Jangal Jameen. We have added Jantu, Jan and Jivika together into this. So what we did is we went to every single village and we asked them to provide us 5 acres of land, which we called Gautan. Gautan is a place where all these cattle can be hold for the day. So it's a kind of daycare center for the cattle. So this is the Gautan. This is a picture of Gautan. So this is a 5 acre area where there are water channels, shade and plantation, some fodder which comes here, and other rural industrial park can be hosted out inside this. So once we developed this, we went and asked for every village. So out of 11,000 panchayats in Chhattisgarh, 10,540 panchayats, almost 96% of panchayats has given us land, and then with the convergence model of Manrega and many other activities, we have developed Gautan. And when the herds of cattle comes by grazing, and they comes here and they rest here for the half of their days, take good drinking water, some fodder, which has been donated by villagers. We don't burn paralis. We asked our farmers to donate this for their own cows. And we collected this donated fodder, and that is been stacked in the Gautans. So in the daytime, when around 10 or 10:50 or 11 o'clock, when this cattle comes to the Gautan, they have been given a proper water and then some this fodder which is stacked here. So cattle stay here for 3 to 4 hours, and then evening they went back. So you can see this is one of the shepherd who is coming just after grazing all these cows and finally getting into Gautans. So this is the Gautan. So you can see this area where fodder is being kept, and there are small sheds and cows are there. Their water channels are here. So for 4 or 5 hours, generally cattle has been kept over here. And then we introduced women self-help group and asked them to get the training for converting this cow dung into vermicompost. So 85,000 women were engaged in 11,000 such groups, and they started making vermicompost. Once they got trained, government started another program called Godhanya Yojana. We started purchasing cow dung in rupees 2 a kg. And in this rupees 2 a kg, what happens? Then huge amount of cow dung started coming to these Gautans. And government started delivering these cow dungs to the women self-help groups who are converting them into vermicompost. And that vermicompost is linked with our societies, the way we actually distribute our chemical farming, chemical fertilizers with the same kind of credit-linked services. So farmers started taking vermicompost from the society, and last 2 years, this Godhanya Yojana started since last 2 years. In this last 2 years, the data says that we have purchased 90 lakh quintals of cow dung that is converted to vermicompost by 85,000 women self-help group, And this 23 lakh quintals vermicompost has been sold to farmers on rupees 10. 87% farmers has taken it, and government has purchased this 90 lakh quintals of cow dung in 180 crore rupees, and government gets benefit of 187 crore rupees after selling this vermicompost to the farmers. So you can imagine that 90 lakh quintals of organic carbon has gone down to the fields again, which enriches the soil like anything. And then now farmers started understanding that what is the actual benefit of crop and this organic compost. I mean, we have seen that those people who are using this vermicompost have very less infestation of many pest infestations and many viral infestations and other things. So the cost of input of pesticides reduced by almost 20% in these areas. And the dependence on the chemical fertilizer is lower, almost around 15 to 20% in Chhattisgarh because of this huge production of vermicompost in every village. Now there was a huge crisis of chemical fertilizer at the time of crop season, but this is not the case now in Chhattisgarh, because in every village there is an organic fertilizer production factory of village owned system. So farmer goes there and have their chits, slips, and then purchase this vermicompost and distribute in the field. So these are the things which is the first step. You can see that this, because of this first step, the cattle is preserved in these areas. So the biostress on the farm is reduced very significantly. Last year, Rabi crop increase is almost 23% because of this. This year we are expecting the sowing season goes higher than 30% in the second crop of Rabi, because this stray cattle has been conserved and at one place. Also the AI, artificial insemination, breed improvement and vaccination activities are scaling up because all the cattle gathered at one place. And this, because of this, vermicompost activities, you can see this right side. These are vermicompost takas, where the women are developing this compost to vermicompost. And these are the stray cattle's place who takes up fresh drinking water. So that also maintains the health of cows in the village. So this has become almost a production factory in the area. So you can see that this vermicompost has been packed, and we have our own brands, and this has been this goes to the different societies with the minor other activities. Women are making now Gomutra is also being purchased in 5 rupees a kg. So almost 30 lakh liter has been purchased in selected gotans, and they make various inputs like pesticides, fungicides, and growth promoters, micronutrient based, things there in Chhattisgarh. So 3 lakh liters has been purchased, and out of that, almost around 2 lakh liters pesticide, vermicompost, and growth promoter has been developed in Chhattisgarh and distributed and sold in. There is a high demand of all these things in our area. You can see this is a rural industrial park. So after doing this thing, this is not full-time activity in the village. So we have started a rural industrial park in one of the corner of 1 acres in Chhattisgarh in these gotans, where these women who are working for 1 or 2 hours on vermicompost, half an hour in pesticides and other things, also can do some other activities, which is off-farm and non-farm activities. Also, the boys and girls from the villages can come and do some activities like making chalks and tatpatti. And nowadays, they are more into making bricks and confectionaries and oils, various varieties of soaps and agarbattis and all that. So these are the rural industrial park, and now government is giving 600 crore rupees to the 300 rural industrial park. We have 10,200 running such Gautans, where 8,000 Gautans are producing vermicompost, and out of that 3,000 Gautans are now independent. They don't take any support from government for purchasing cow dung. Now every villager keeping their cattle in the home because they need cow dung to sell it. So the cattle is preserved in the home, and the rest of the cow dung is being converted into vermicompost, and then growth promoters, pesticide is being made. And now this rural industrial park is a place where the energy and innovation of the village boys and girls are getting converted into products, which is completely organic in nature. And we are making a board called C-Mart. C-Mart is a kind of a small mall, which is in every district in Chhattisgarh, where you can get the products developed by Gautans and rural industrial parks, and lots of organic millets, rice, pulses, oil, and other eatable things are available in all C-Mart. Last year, C-Mart, yes, just 1 minute more. So this is the whole system going on in Chhattisgarh. Many chief ministers has already visited, and many people have come here. This is being now associated with cultural activities. A huge number of trainings going on. So this is the all about my experiment of Godhan Nyaya Yojana in Chhattisgarh. Now we are going into more steps further, and this is a continuous process. Yes, please.
It's extremely innovative, and even if NGGB is something that's not replicated, purchase of cow dung and cow urine from farmers is something that other states have begun announcing after you started in Chhattisgarh. We'll have a thank you for that, Pradeep ji. Please stay on, a few questions to you after the Himachal presentation also.
Sure,
In
sure.
quick Kannada translation, the gist of both NGGB and Godhan Nyaya Yojana.
ಪ್ರದೀಪ್ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರು ಇವರು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಡ್ವೈಸರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಛತ್ತೀಸ್ಗಢ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇವರು ಜೀವ ವೈವಿಧ್ಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪರಿಸರ ಪೂರಕ ಕೃಷಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. NGGB ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ವಿವರಣೆ ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. NGGB ಅಂದಾಗ ನರ್ವ, ಗರುವ, ಗುರುವ, ಬಾರಿ. ಇದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಳೆ ಇರುವಂತ ಪ್ರದೇಶ. ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಳೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನದಿಗಳು ಹೆಚ್ಚೆಚ್ಚು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಹಾ ನದಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಅವು ನೀರನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಹರಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಇರೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ನ 1/3 ಭಾಗ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅದು 1/3 ಆಫ್ ದ ಜಾಗ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಇರೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಹಸು ಮತ್ತೆ ಇತರ ಕ್ಯಾಟಲ್ಗಳಿದಾವೆ ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 1.27 ಕೋಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಟ್ರೇ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲೆಡೆ ಓಡಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಹಸುವಿನ ಈ ತರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಾಡಿನ ಭಾಗ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅವರು ವಿವರಣೆ ನೀಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 28,000 ರೀತಿಯ ಅಕ್ಕಿಯ ಭತ್ತದ ತಳಿಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡಬಹುದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದಾಗ ಪ್ರತಿ ಗ್ರಾಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಜನರನ್ನೇ ದಾನ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ. 5 ಎಕರೆನ ನೀವು ದಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಈ ಮೇವು ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀರು ಏನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಇದೆ, ಹಸು ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಮ್ಮೆ ಇದೆ, ಅವಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಜಾಗ ತೆಗೆದಿಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 11,000 ಪಂಚಾಯತ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ತಲುಪಿದಾಗ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 96% ಪಂಚಾಯತ್ಗಳು ಈ ಒಂದು ಯೋಜನೆಗೆ ಬಾಗಿಲು ತೆಗೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಗೋತಾನ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಗೋತಾನ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ NREGS ನ ಕೂಡ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟಿನ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲೇನೆ ಅದೇ ಅವರ ಚಿತ್ರ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೆಡೆ ತಿರುಗ್ತಿರುವಂತಹ ನಮ್ಮ ಪಶುಗಳೇನಿದ್ವು ಒಂದೆಡೆಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಂದು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮೇವು ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡುವಂತದ್ದು, ನೀರಿನ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಈ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರನ್ನ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮಹಿಳಾ ಸಂಘಗಳನ್ನ, ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಸಂಘಗಳನ್ನ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಸುಮಾರು 80,000 ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಸಂಘಗಳು ಈ ಯೋಜನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಈ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಈ ಯೋಜನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ರೈತರಿಂದ ಗೋಮೂತ್ರ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಗಣಿಯನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. 2 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೆಜಿಗೆ ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾವ್ದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಮಾರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಕೋಆಪರೇಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ಪ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಸುಮಾರು 90 ಲಕ್ಷ ಕ್ವಿಂಟಲ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಸಗಣಿಯನ್ನ ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ 180 ಕೋಟಿಯನ್ನ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಅದನ್ನ ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ರೈತರಿಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಮಾರ್ತಾರೆ. 10 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಹಂಗೆ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಮಾರ್ತಾ ಸರ್ಕಾರನೇ ವಾಪಸ್ಸು 180 ಕೋಟಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 187 ಕೋಟಿಯನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಗಳಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯೋಜನೆ ಮೂಲಕ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊರಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ಒಳಸೂರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಏನು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಇದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪೆಸ್ಟಿಸೈಡ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಅವ್ರು ಗೋತಾನ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಮಿ ಕಾಂಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲೆಡೆ ಕೂಡ ಹಸುಗಳು ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ಬೀದಿಲೆಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ತಿರ್ಗಾಡ್ತಿರೋಂತ ಕಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರೋಂತವೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದೆಡೆಗೆ ಸೇರಿಸಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ರೈತರು ಕೂಡ ಸಗಣಿಯನ್ನ ಸಂಗ್ರಹಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ವರ್ಮಿ ಕಾಂಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 23% ಅಷ್ಟು ಇಳುವರಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು 8,000 ಒಂದು ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಸಿಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂತದನ್ನ ಈ ಯೋಜನೆ ಮೂಲಕ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳು ಕೂಡ ವಾಪಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ರೈತರಿಂದ ಸಗಣಿಯನ್ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಗೋಮೂತ್ರವನ್ನ ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಶುರು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸಿಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಬರೀ ಗೋಮೂತ್ರ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ದೇನೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕವಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸರ್ ನ ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಫಂಗಿಸೈಡ್ ನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೆಳೆ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಿರಿಧಾನ್ಯಗಳು ಈ ತರ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಒಂದು ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲಾನು ಕೂಡ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಒಂದು ರೂರಲ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂಲಕ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ವಹಿವಾಟನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Thank you, Kavita. We now move to our third speaker, Dr. Rajeshwar Chandel, who is the Vice Chancellor of Dr. Y.S. Parmar University of Horticulture and Forestry from Sammelan in Himachal Pradesh. Dr. Chandel, thank you so much for being here. Also, thank you for sending a large team of your students and faculty members. We are very, very happy to have them here. I hope they are in the hall, the Himachal Pradesh friends. If you are, please raise your hands if you're in the hall right now. Well, there are a lot of activities happening.
Thank you.
Sorry?
Yes, thank you, madam. Thank you for just connecting me to my colleagues and farmers from Himachal. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
You can start your presentation, sir. We understand that Himachal government is focusing on ZBNF in its work related to agroecology. Can you please share with us what exactly is the intervention and the scale of what is happening? Thank you. And after you present for 10-12 minutes, we will probably have a few questions to you. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So directly I'll go to my presentation.
Sir, you've been muted. Can you please unmute yourself? Can you hear us, sir?
Yeah. Just a minute. So can you see my presentation?
Yes.
It's clear now? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. We
Thank
present, we can hear you.
Thank you. First of all, many greetings from my side to the organizers of this great event, ASHA Kisan Swaraj Sammelan. and hopefully this would be a very meaningful to make the people aware about the biodiversity, crop patterns, our own food cultures, and this would be a kind of the one of the biggest training to the all stakeholders. Kavita, yes, thank you for connecting me. Kapil Bhai would also be here, T. Vijay Kumar sir, Pradeep ji, and I'm also very happy to see that Sir Daman Bhai Patel, Saab, he is also here. So good morning to all great people. Nachiket, Ashish Gupta must be here. In Himachal Pradesh, this program was initiated in 2018 by a name Prakritik, Kheti, Khushhal Kisan Yojana, Natural Farming, Prosperous Farmer Yojana. And the initial inspiration were drawn by Padam Shri Subhash Palekar ji, who visited Himachal thrice or 4 times on the urge of the then Governor Acharya Devbrat, who was who wanted to see Himachal free from all chemicals, because he came from the Haryana, where he found that whole soil was converted to the dry land. The water table has gone very down. So inspiration were drawn from the then Governor Acharya Devbrat ji. So after the this initiation of this very important scheme, we saw that in Himachal, although there was a strong perception amongst the country people that Himachal, since this is the hill state and it's free from the agrochemicals. But interestingly, the state was contributing more to the pesticide residue. It means the farmers have been using more pesticides than rest of the country, because this is the apple state. This is the oxygen. This is a state which provides oxygen vegetables to whole of the country. And many studies, they came up with the outcome that our natural pollinators like honeybee, Indian Apis cerana, which is native to India, it has been declined by 90%. People, specifically women, the social capital about which Vijay Kumar sir has already talked about. They said that they felt ill after the spraying of the pesticides. They have to change their clothes. There are the more than 70% have reported the skin allergy, giddiness after the application of the pesticides, vomiting. So number of issues have come out, coming out from the extensive apple and vegetable growing areas. And for rest of the emergencies, which the Vijay Kumar sir has already talked about, enhanced water requirement, Himachal is basically, although it provides the major source of the water to the rest of the states, but it itself is a dry state, being the hilly. Around 81% of the area is dry. 30% land have been declared as the degraded lands. There is a huge loss of biodiversity, and I don't hesitate to say that our apple cultivation has been increased by 1100%, vegetable by 860%, but the millets has been reduced by reduced only to the 10% of the area in the last 3 decades. Poor food quality is another reason. Although we are a comfortably richer state in the country, but the National Family Health Survey states something different about it. Around 28% women are now malnutrition, and similar is the case with the males and infants. Cost of input is now rising very swiftly. Our farmers have fallen in the trap of the agrochemical, and the state has the very high climate vulnerability. So with the initiative of this scheme, now we have around 99% of the panchayats having the natural farmers who have been doing natural farming on the partial piece of land. And initially, interestingly, our team, because the main warriors who took this responsibility is Atma functionaries, agriculture technology management agencies. So they are the main warriors to take forward the movement of the natural farming amongst the farmers. And till now, here the area is 9,400, but around 10,000 hectare area has been transformed into the natural farming practices. So went to the farmers through 5 basic steps. So first is sensitization. Initially, we tried to sensitize all bureaucracy, people from bureaucracy, political dispensations, vice chancellors, then scientists. We took them to the Gurukul, who is a farm totally transformed to the natural farming practices by Acharya Devratji. Then thereafter, we conducted bigger programs to sensitize the people about this zero budget natural farming. Then a select few, we took them to the model farms, because initially we focused to raise the model farms on the farmers field itself, and those who can act as the resource centers for the trainings and learning. Then out of those sensitized farmers, a very select few, 10, 20, 50, we took them to the exposure visit to the farmers fields, allowed farmer to farmer interaction, where the farmer could discuss them with his success stories, his challenges, the way he initiated, how he's upscaling the area now. Then training. We have a very designed 2 days training program where farmer spend 14 to 15 hours in 2 days and learn the basic principles of the natural farming. And finally, out of that lot, we pick a very few, maybe 5 or 6 or 8 for the adoption. And from end-to-end program, these Atma warriors, our extension functionaries, they handhold the farmer till these farmers they raise very good models. So these are some of the outcomes of working in Himachal Pradesh for the last 4 years. Our cost in apple, because in apple, we saw that a farmer spends around 1 lakh rupees on various agro inputs, specifically on fertilizers and pesticides. So he spends around 1 lakh on 1 acre. So here we could see around 57% of the reduction in cost of cultivation in apple, 28% in wheat, likewise in vegetable also. That net returns was also increased, 27% in apples and 64% in wheat. These natural farming practices, because as these focuses on the crop intensification, so we try to transform the farmer from the monoculture to the multi-crops, because sustainable crop intensification is a priority of FAO also. So we saw that by introducing this crop intensification, the natural farming practices could very successfully reduce the attack of the infestation of the insects and infection of the various diseases. Soil is the major issue, as among multiple emergencies. Soil degradation of the soil is the major one. We have been facing across whole country, whole around globe also. So here we could see the enhanced activity of the basic biota of the soil, bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes. Soil enzymes, they have also shown a bit increase in their activities. And because earthworm is the main activity which allows the soil structure to improve, so it is one of the soil functionaries which improves the soil health. So here in case of natural farming, initial data shows that the earthworm also increases in numbers. We have gone to the new innovations also, because I'm very happy to share here is that Vijay Kumar is also is our guide, is our mentor. We have been being guided by him time to time. So we have introduced some of the innovations in our approaches. Because now the farmers have entered into the 4th years of their practices. So they need some certification system so that their product can be valued in the open market. So we have developed a Sitara system, and I am very thankful to the Ashish Gupta. He has been working very hard with us for the last 4 years to develop this system. And now this system, this is the software based system. And then now the farmer has not to depend upon the external agencies or external organizations for the certifications. Because we have seen for the last many years that when an organization which is responsible to certify based on the PGS, he comes in the area, unless and he works in the area till the government funding is available. But after the termination of the funding, the company leaves the area and farmers get abandoned. So we framed a program where the farmer has not to be dependent on any external agencies. He uploads his own data on an app-based system, and ultimately that app-based system, he generates the data. And interestingly, this system aligns the PGS system. So it has all the voluntarily checks. It has the social audit also. It has the verification by the government system. It has the random sampling also. So it aligns with that system also. Then we initiated the fellowship programs to strengthen the program. Various national government of India funds, state government schemes, they are being integrated with this scheme. SC/ST village we have selected based and for those funds were transformed to the transforming the farmer to natural farming practices. Various schemes of SRLM from rural development, they are also being linked with this scheme. Now we are also connected with the NABARD to raise natural farmer based FPOs. So as of now, we have the 5 FPOs which are specifically working for the natural farming produce in the state. Then certain marketing structures have also been created based on our 4 years experience. We have initiated 2 captive outlets in the city system, and for the local farmers, because they come out with a very small produce, and that produce never comes regularly. So because the Himachal farmer is very small, so he come out with his produce once in a week or twice in a week. So we have provided them very small canopies, so they can these are the foldable canopies. So they come out of their home with the produce, they place their canopies outside the highways, outside local roads, or outside some important offices, sell their produce for 1 hour, 2 or 3 hours, and get back. So these are some of the innovations. Yes, this is the Sitara system, which is very interesting. Being the member of the National Certification Committee, this has been presented before the Niti Aayog also. Now the farmer will get 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. So based on his performance, so initially when he'll enter in the natural farming system, he will be called as the Antaral Kisan. Then after adopting all principles of the natural farming, but on a partial piece of land, he will be taken as the 2-star farmer, then Sadharana Kisan. And finally, when all area with all principles of natural farming, the farmer will follow, he will be taken as the 3-star farmer. And 3-star farmer will be linked to various government schemes with the various trading system. He'll get the government logo, he'll get the brand by the government. So every farmer will have the instinct to shift from 1 star to 2 and 2 to the 3-star. So this is a very unique kind of a system I will be presenting before you. Sorry. I think there is some problem in my presentation.
We can see the presentation.
I think yeah. There are certain learnings. I will take another 2 minutes only. There are the certain learnings from our the 4-5 year experience. That first, the states need to work on outscaling. It's not like that initially you'll get the clusters, because in earlier schemes like PKVY, there is a plan to develop clusters. But it rarely happens that all farmers will initially agree to go for the natural farming. You'll get the sparse farmers somewhere after a distance. So first outscale is important, and based on the model, raising model on the initial interested farmer field, those model works excellently to then outscale this program amongst the masses. Then in Himachal, although this is different from the Andhra Pradesh is more working with the local NGOs. But here we took the help of the Atma functionaries, which worked very well here in my state. And now we are also taking the integrating the local NGOs to outscale this program. Structure training is very important, because we saw that earlier in the government all training system, never we follow the structure training system. The farmers come for 1 hour, 2 or 3 or 4 hours, sit, have a lunch and go back. But unless we have the structure trainings to a very few number of farmers, we need not to go for the large number of the population to part of the farmers to be in the training. Then after outscaling, the farmer, when he gets convinced with the practices, with the productivity, when he see that yes, his crop needs now less water, his soil is being pulverized, he's getting better soil crop after crop, then automatically upscaling happens. This is our experience from Himachal Pradesh. Then seed is now major issue, because with these farmers, we have totally cut his dependency on the external market, except seed, because he has lost the original seed with him. So seed to soul, this seed production program has to be taken very extensively if we want to see this program as a success. Then earlier we proposed a dedicated state level unit to every state, which I'm thankful to the Government of India that they have agreed to it, and now they have placed this proposed a fund 1,500 crore for to all of the country, and to create a dedicated state level unit in each state. Then as I have already told, that upscale approach is being followed after outscaling. Yes, this happens because when the farmer gets convinced on his farm, he automatically goes to enhance his area. Yes, it is not a transition, is not a physical activity, as T. Vijay Kumar sir has already spoken about. It is not a physical activity. It passes through various tandem processes. So it needs continuous hand-holding. Market system is to be explored, because we are now trying to shift the farmer from the concept of the premium price to the true price. So he has to be made clear that what is the true price. So to further sustainable this system, so true pricing concept has to be introduced to the farmer. Then the agriculture universities needs to be the part of this system, because unless we generate the scientific data on the farmer's field, we cannot take forward this natural farming program to the masses, and the consumer, he will be satisfied only after getting the true data, how it is happening, what is the outcome. Then there was one important program which the government has now accepted also, because earlier there was a provision of 1,000 hectare. The funding was based on the 1,000 hectare transformation to organic farming. So from Himachal Pradesh also, we very strongly approached the Government of India, specifically the Ministry of Agriculture, to reduce this area. And now they agreed to fund the states now to on the basis of 40 hectare cluster basis. Then Vijay Kumar sir has already explained about the conversion of a farmer, then village, then cluster, then panchayat, and then whole of the district. So he has, I think he has very clearly explained it, that at least 5 years are required to convert a farmer fully to the natural farming practice. It may go beyond 7 years, 8 years. So the funding is required beyond 5 years to support this system. And then this is because this is a knowledge intensive activity. It cannot run with the usual package of practices system as universities have been doing, that we generate a package of practices and ask farmers to follow these practices. This is a knowledge intensive system. So this has to be, the package of practices has to be revamped, reconsidered, rebuilt year after year based on the farming practices. This program will succeed, and it is succeeding in my state through the practice of seeing is believing. We raise the good model on the farmer field. We take farmers, new farmers to those model farmers, allow the farmer to farmer discussion, and that works like anything for the successful outscaling of the program. So here, this is a proposed model, because we have this Prakritik, Kheti, Khushhal, Kisan Yojana with us. Now we are working on a sustainable food system platform for natural farming. So where, based on the traceability and transferability, the market linkage has to be created, considering the SDGs also. So this is the last slide from my side. Yes, now there is a public voice also from outside that farmers are getting edge in the market also based on the natural farming produce. But since this is a transformation, this will start from the individual farmer. This will start from the lowest part of the farmer field, allowing him to get convinced and then upscale his activity. So it will take time, will not happen immediately, will take another 10 years to convert whole of the farmer to the natural farming practices. So with this Sant Kabir saying that धीरे धीरे रे मना धीरे सब कुछ होए माली सिंचे 100 घड़ा ऋतु आए फल होए. Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to be the part of this very important conference, and I wish a very successful and meaning proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chandel. You're right that this is all about managing transitions incrementally, dhire dhire. And, the seed to soul interventions that you talked about, and the innovative certification regime that you're setting up, which links farmers to markets. I think these are key takeaways from your presentation. We'll have a Kannada translation, which will give the gist of what you've said. And then we'll move into Q&A with the three of you, after which we will go to the panelists who are actually on the stage with us today. The Kannada translation, please.
ಇದು ತರ್ಜುಮೆ ಕೂಡ ಸೈಮಲ್ಟೇನಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬರೀ ಸಾರಾಂಶ ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಈಗ. ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಆರ್.ಎಸ್. ಚಂದೇಲ್, ಹಿಮಾಚಲ್ ಪ್ರದೇಶ್, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ YSP ಹಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಯಿಂದ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದೀಗ. ಅವರು ಹೇಗೆ ಅವರ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯವಾಯಿತು ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯಕ್ಕೆ ತೆರ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೀಟನಾಶಕ ಶೇಷ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗ್ತಾ ಮತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಹನಿಬಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರಮಾಣ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಕಣ್ಣಿನ ಇರಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಚರ್ಮದ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಹೆಚ್ಚೆಚ್ಚು ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಸೇಬು ಬೆಳೆಯುವಂತ ಪ್ರದೇಶ. ಅಂತ ಕಡೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಜೇರ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಫಲವತ್ತತೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಬಹು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿರೋ ಅಂಶ. ಅವೆಲ್ಲದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೊಡೆತ ಬಿದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಕೀಟನಾಶಕದಿಂದ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಹೊರಗಡೆಯಿಂದ ತಂದು ಉಪಯೋಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಅವರು ಅನಿವಾರ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯದ ಕಡೆ ತಿರುಗಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಮಾತನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಡೀ ರಾಜ್ಯವೇ ಸರ್ಕಾರವೇ ಅದನ್ನ ಮುಂದೆ ನಿಂತು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬಂತು. ಈಗ ಆ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು 1.6 ಲಕ್ಷದಷ್ಟು ರೈತರು ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯನ್ನ ಅನುಸರಿಸ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು ಮುಂಚೆ ಸುಭಾಷ್ ಪಾಳೇಕರ್ ಅವ್ರ ರಾಜ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು 3-4 ಸತಿ ಭೇಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನ ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಅವರು ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯಕ್ಕೆ ತೆರ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು 99% ಅಷ್ಟು ಪಂಚಾಯತ್ಗಳೇನಿದೆ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಈ ಒಂದು ಯೋಜನೆಗೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಜಮೀನನ್ನ ಹೊಲಗಳನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸುಮಾರು ಇವಾಗ 10,000 ಹೆಕ್ಟೇರ್ಗಳಷ್ಟು ಕೃಷಿ ಭೂಮಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅವು ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯದ ಕೆಲಸ ಅನುಸರಿಸ್ತಾ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಅನುಸರಿಸಿರುವ ವಿಧಾನವನ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಒಂದು 4-5 ಅಂಶಗಳನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ತರ ಜಾಗ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಅರಿವು ಮೂಡಿಸಕ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋದು, ತರಬೇತಿ ನೀಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಏನ್ ತರಬೇತಿ ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ತಮ್ಮ ಜಮೀನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಳವಡಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು, ನಂತರ ಅಳವಡಿಸಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಈ ಒಂದು ಹಂತಗಳನ್ನ ಅವರು ಅನುಸರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಷ್ಟು ಲಕ್ಷ ರೈತರನ್ನ ಅವರು ತಲುಪಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗಿದೆ. ಅವರು ಸೇಬು ಬೆಳೆದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರು ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ ಎರೆಹುಳುವಿನ ಪ್ರಮಾಣ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಈಗ ಈ ವಿಧಾನವನ್ನು ಅನುಸರಿಸ್ತಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಎರೆಹುಳ ಪ್ರಮಾಣ ಏನಿದೆ, ಭೂಮಿಯ ಫಲವತ್ತತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ವಿಷಯನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಎರಡನೇ ಅವ್ರು ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿರೋ ಅಂಶ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ನ 2 ವಿಭಾಗ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ರೈತರೇ ತಮ್ಮ ಜಮೀನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಡೇಟಾ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದಿನನಿತ್ಯ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಅವು ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಬರಕ್ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮರ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಈ ರೈತರಿಂದ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಏನಿದೆ ಉತ್ಪಾದನೆ ಅವು ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಅವು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಏನಿದೆ ಇಂಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆ ತೆರೆಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು, ಅವಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಅವರು ಆದಾಯವನ್ನ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮತ್ತೆ ಉತ್ತಮ ಬೆಲೆ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತದಕ್ಕೆ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರು ವಿಶಿಷ್ಟವಾಗಿರೋ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಸಹಾಯ ಗುಂಪು NGOಗಳನ್ನ ಮೊದಲು ತುಂಬಾ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವರ ತಳಹದಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಮಾಚಲ್ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಆತ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಏನು ವರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಇತ್ತು ಆ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ವರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಇಂದ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇವಾಗ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಬೇರೆ NGOಗಳಿಗೆ ತೆರೆಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಅವರು ಸ್ಕೇಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಪ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಈ ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯ ಪದ್ಧತಿನ ಇನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚೆಚ್ಚು ಸಾವಿರಾರು ರೈತರಿಗೆ ತಲುಪುವಂತ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳುವಂತದ್ದು ಈ ವಿಧಾನವನ್ನ ಅನುಸರಿಸ್ತಾ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು ಮತ್ತೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಫಲವತ್ತತೆ ಇರಬಹುದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೀಟನಾಶಕಗಳನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅವರು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಲಾಭವನ್ನ ನೋಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನುವ ಅಂಶವನ್ನ ಅವರು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Thank you.
I think we'll start with a couple of questions. I'll start with Vijay Kumar sir. Thank you so much for the presentation. We have just 2 quick questions. If you can answer, give us a brief response, that would be great. What have been the biggest challenges you faced in scaling up, and what would be the challenges going ahead in Andhra Pradesh? Second is, what would be your top 5 recommendations for other states which want to do similar work?
Okay, only 2 questions, but very meaningful and require a little bit of lengthy answer. You see, challenges are basically in the mindset, not so much as mindset of the farmers, but mindset of the administrators, mindset of the agriculture department functionaries, universities. It's a mindset that you can't grow crops without chemicals. So this is a mindset over last 60-70 years. And that is what has undermined the confidence of farmers. So farmers can change quickly, but the overall atmosphere is very, very negative. So therefore, this transition process is made more difficult because of the mindset issues. And that is why in my presentation, I have mentioned that long-term hand-holding support of a very trusted group is required to enable the farmers to transit. So first of all, the extension system. If you have an extension system which believes in chemical agriculture and they are asked to talk about natural farming, obviously it will not work. So in our state, we have those farmers who have successfully transformed to natural farming, They are the trainers. And they demonstrate that in the village in which they are posted or where they are working. So the credibility of the extension system becomes important. And you require a group to support a farmer in transition, because other farmers will make fun of him or her when you're trying to change from chemical agriculture. I have seen many cases where within a family, the elder brother is doing natural farming, younger brother is not doing it. Father wants to do conventional agriculture, son wants to do natural farming. So this requires a lot of effort. And this is helped if you have a good social capital. You have a good supporting Gram Panchayat, a women's self-help group, a farmer organization. And that's why I kept on repeating in my presentation, to change a whole village requires a lot of these efforts, long-term hand-holding support. So the biggest challenge, according to me, is the mindset issue. Otherwise, the technology is excellent. The technology is such that it helps the farmers, it helps the soil to recover, it helps consumers. And the technology I am referring to, the natural farming technology, is really the technology of the future. A lot of research is happening across the world on soil microbiology, on the biodiversity linked to both below the soil, above the soil. So even though the practices we are using are rooted in our tradition, but this technology is a modern technology, is a technology based on science. I think we should not forget that. So in my opinion, farmers change quickly, but we need to change the overall system. And Chandel ji spoke about the university curriculum. I think we should go to the school curriculum. So the change of mindset in the society, right from school system to colleges, is very, very important. So this is the answer to your first question. Can you please repeat the second one?
Be your recommendations to other states, say top 5 recommendations to other states who want to do this.
Actually, I have only one recommendation. It says, just do it. It's very easy. Where is the difficulty? As I mentioned, every state in India has a very good network of women self-help groups, has a very good system of already people practicing this. So there are elements are present everywhere. As I said, not only women self-help groups, we have NGOs, and we have, Dr. Chandel himself is an inspiration because he has come from the conventional agriculture system, but he has embraced natural farming. So Pradeep Sharma ji represents civil society organizations. So they are on this side. So first is the social capital foundation, which is there in every state. And to me, that is the women self-help group system, their federations. That is the best foundation present in every state. Please make use of that. The second is the government financing is very important. And so the reorganization of the departments of agriculture, especially, to have a dedicated implementation architecture, right from state level to village level, and to have in these organizations people from the community, from within the department, from other departments, those who believe in natural farming. So that is very critical. And so people can look at what Himachal is doing or what Andhra Pradesh is doing to see how a dedicated implementation structure needs to be set up. And third is the extension system has to be farmer centric. It is not whether you are BSc agriculture, MSc agriculture, or PhD in agriculture, then only you can give training. Not like that. It is Are you a practicing farmer? Are others able to see you for inspiration? So the extension system, farmer-centric, farmers themselves, according to me, are the best trainers in the world. Farmers are the best scientists. So use this wealth. It has to be women-centric and farmer-centric at the grassroots level. And then that, as I said, commitment at the government level that this is something which should have been done 20 years ago. We are already late and we cannot afford to delay it further. So that sense of urgency that a government must move quickly, because I can assure you, if you don't do it, the consequences are very, very severe. And who will face those consequences? The people who are not responsible for creating the crisis. It will be our young people. It will be the marginal farmers. It will be the scheduled tribe farmers. So it's also one sense climate injustice. Those who did not create the crisis will be the worst victims. So, and the technology is already there. You may, of course, improve it further. Each year, we are actually improving our own knowledge and technologies to make this transition quicker. But I can assure everyone that there is whatever knowledge exists within the country, in each state, with each, either government organization like Dr. Chandel's, or with the civil society organizations or farmers, there's more than enough technology of natural farming. We should not waste time trying to validate it for another 20, 30 years. So technology is clear, it's simple, it's a do-it-yourself technology. We farmers are not dependent on outside supply system. So the government resources are critical, and make use of the social capital that is there in every state. And the most important person to bring this change is the farmer herself. So when you create a program which is by the farmers and of the farmers and for the farmers, then you will move very quickly. The role of the government is to nurture the women's self-help groups, nurture these champion farmers. And in the process, government gains, as I mentioned, government gains so much in terms of lesser fertilizer subsidies, lesser electric subsidies, and I am sure lesser health expenditure, less pollution. So there are huge benefits for governments. But in conclusion, this is something that should have been done 20 years ago. We are already very late. Each day's delay is making us more and more vulnerable. And there are really no serious problems in taking it forward. It is very much, within our capability. And so I strongly urge every government and also every civil society organization to put its might behind taking agroecology to every farmer in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kavita will give a brief translation.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ನೀವು ಇಯರ್ಫೋನ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ ಸಣ್ಣದಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸರ್ನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಈ ತರ ಇಷ್ಟು ಸಾವಿರ ಜನ ರೈತರನ್ನ ತಲುಪಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಏನು ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಎದುರಿಸಿದ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಎರಡನೇದು, ನೀವು ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಅವ್ರ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ ತರ ರೆಕಮೆಂಡೇಶನ್ ನೀಡಕ್ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರು ಉತ್ತರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬದಲಾಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ರೈತರ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅಧಿಕಾರ ವರ್ಗದ, ಕೃಷಿ ಇಲಾಖೆಯವರ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬದಲಾಗಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಏನ್ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕವಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ತಲುಪಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವರ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬದಲಾದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರು ಬೇಗ ಬದಲಾಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ನಂಬಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಸಮಾಜದ್ದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ವರ್ಗದ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬದಲಾಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ತುಂಬಾ ಸುಂದರವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಇವರು ಅಧಿಕಾರ ವರ್ಗದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋರು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಸರ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಚಂದಲ್ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರೋರು, ಅವರು ಬದಲಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮೂರನೇದು ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಪ್ರದೀಪ್ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರು. ಸೊ ಈ 3 ವರ್ಗಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಅವರ ಬದಲಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬದಲಾಗ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದವರು ಕೂಡ ಬದಲಾಗ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನ ನೀಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಕಮೆಂಡೇಶನ್ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನಂದಿರೋದು 5 ಏನಲ್ಲ, 1 ರೆಕಮೆಂಡೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯ ಮಾಡಿ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ರೈತಳಿಂದ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅನ್ನುವ ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಜ್ಞಾನ ತುಂಬಾ ಇದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕೊರತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಬೇಸಾಯ ಪದ್ಧತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಯಾರನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪರಿಮಿತವಾದ ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನಿದೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ. ಈ ಬೇಸಾಯ ಪದ್ಧತಿಗೆ ನಾವು ತೆರೆಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನ ನೀಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Thank you. Thanks, Vijay Kumar garu. Can I move to Pradeep Sharma ji? Pradeep ji, 2-3 points that I wanted to raise with you, and maybe you could respond to all of them together. The NGGB as well as the Godhan Nyay Yojana, as a government scheme, have worked out how to supply inputs to farmers, which are bio inputs and nature friendly. But what happens to the demand side? In a state like Chhattisgarh, farmers are probably naturally demanding it. Whereas if I go with a scheme like this to another state, for instance, maybe demand side will be issue. I'm just flagging it as something that I'd like you to respond on. The second thing is about the institutional architecture. I see that what you are attempting in Chhattisgarh involves multiple departments. It's not just one department for natural farming and the right to Sadhikara Samstha that AP has created. Or it's not simple. You're talking about panchayats, you're talking about rural development department and its livelihoods mission. You're talking about PACS, which is under the cooperation department. Multiple departments are involved. So what exactly did you have to do, or do you have to do, with regard to convergence in a slightly complex model that you have presented from Chhattisgarh? And lastly, vermicompost, after all, even if you give it through the PACS and so on, is working out to about 4,000 rupees per acre that farmers are ending up investing, whether they pay from their pocket or whether the government gives it. So how exactly do we promote other inputs that are coming from Gautans with farmers? Just a simple technical issue around shelf life or something like that. So what exactly are your thoughts on these 3 things? If you can respond in one go. Thanks.
Yeah. Very interesting and very important questions. Kavita ji, thank you. First thing is about the supply side and demand side. So whenever we go to any person before that and ask them to go for the organic farming and eco-friendly farming, the first question he asked is, where are the inputs? Where is this? So there are multiple issues like you can use cow dung, you can use other farmyard manure, composted, but the problem is that you cannot just broadcast it like chemical fertilizer. So to convert this cow dung or farmyard manure into more broadcastable form, vermicompost is one of the most suitable thing. So we have chosen it, number 1. Second is the pesticide, and third is the fungicides and growth promoter. But when the production which comes out by the farmers, so there are a number of farmers which first started producing their own consumption quantity by 100% organic, because they know that it has more taste, it has more aroma, it's very healthy, and all that. And now there is a huge demand of organic products on the almost similar rate, because it is very, very well established now everywhere in the country and the world that after some time, the production would not be decreased if you choose organic inputs. For 1 year or 2 years, it may suffer, but then ultimately it comes back and better way. So to sell it, people started asking, especially consumers started asking, where can we get these organic products? So we started C-Mart. C-Mart is government-sponsored malls from where you can get retail and wholesale products developed and produced by farmers. Now we have millet mission. So the northern Chhattisgarh and southern Chhattisgarh, especially Bastar and Jaspur, tribals were growing almost 20 various varieties of millets, Nachni, Ragi, Kodo, Kutki. So government has first supported, declared a support price for the coarse grain millets, and farmers produce it organically and is being sold out. So the demand is higher than the supply of the coarse grain millets and organic rice and pulses and all that. So, and the second question is multiple, the complex behavior and then sort of networking of government departments. Yes. The first thing is that political will. The Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Bhupesh Baghel ji, is from a farmer's family. And like my family, his family, we're all farming families. So we know since childhood what are the problems of the farmers. And he is very strictly monitoring this program by himself. You can imagine that every 15 days in a month, the money of this cow dung is being directly delivered to the seller's account, like Manrega accounts. So there is a meeting, which is the money distribution as well as monitoring of this Godhanya Yojana by Chief Minister himself in every 15 days. And then there is a convergence. The government departments generally work in compartments. And these compartments, like Vijay Kumar Sahab said, these are very sort of unconnected, however, trying to achieve the same result. So we have made a kind of program called Management of Government Networks, Magnet, in Planning Commission. So Kautan is being developed by Manrega and Panchayat. After that, Agriculture Department comes in, and then Rural Development Department chip in for the training of vermicompost and all that. Then comes the Sahakarita departments and all. So we have already laid out the program that which department comes when. And then we started monitoring and training it little, in advance. By that, they can pick up the same place and the same speed, which has been left by the last department. So the conversion, so there is a board formed, which is NGGB board. Like out of 33,000 rivulets, we have almost rejuvenate 12,000 rivulets. 12,000 rivulets in Chhattisgarh, which were dried in 6 months. Now it is now perennial, almost for the 10 to 11 months. So this is because we have a NGGB board, which contains, which is headed by Chief Minister and Forest Department, Minister of Forest Department, Minister of Agriculture Department, me, were vice chairpersons, and then rest of the secretaries are member of it. So we have regular meeting and monitoring of all these departments coming. The collectors' conference are generally going on. So this way we are networking our government things. The last question was about how do we see that in future? I mean, what is the next level of achievement in this NGGB? So in Chhattisgarh and in all over the country, there are two kinds of population. During my work of civil society, I come to know that the land distribution pattern in India is very skewed. Like 80% of the land is held by 20% of the people, and 20% of the people having 80% of the land, and 80% of the people having 20% of land. Why it is so? Because these 80% people having 20% land were actually artisans. They don't require too much land because they have their own business, artisans. Like they are bunkar, weavers, they were blacksmith, they were goldsmith, there were many other things. So India's basic production is not agriculture, but India's basic production is artistry and artifacts and many other things. So when English came and destroyed this completely, these 80% artisans piggyback over the farmers. So they reduced as a labor, landless labor, or small farmers. This is an area we identified, and then we started giving them a place where they can come, and that is supported by government in rural industrial park. So the forest and forest-based produced are being processed in rural industrial park. They are mineral-based produced are processed in rural industrial park. Their service sector is being nurtured in rural industrial park. So this rural industrial park, supported by the Gautans, is a complementary thing of engagement of rural youth in Chhattisgarh. So reducing the load of farmers, of farming community in the village requires an institution, and this institution is Gautan. So we are supporting them on reducing the cost of farming. Also, we are reducing the number of people engaged in only agriculture. We want agriculture with artisanship. And the women's self-help group is there, like Vijay Kumarji said and Chandel sir also said. We have lots of infrastructure there in the rural areas. All we need to identify and put them into work.
Thank you so much.
ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದು ನಿಮ್ ಒಳಸೂರಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಏನಿದೆ, ರೈತರಿಂದ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತ ವರ್ಮಿ ಕಾಂಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ. ಅದು ಕೇವಲ ಬರೀ 4,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ತನಕ ಒಳಸೂರಿ ತಗೊಳತ್ತಷ್ಟೇ. ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ತಲುಪಿಸಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತಾ? ನೀವು ಈ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಕ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಲ್ವಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಎರಡನೇದು, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಅವ್ರೆಲ್ಲರ ಜೊತೆ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಹೌದು, ಪರಿಸರ ಸ್ನೇಹಿ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸಿ-ಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಬರೀ ವರ್ಮಿ ಕಾಂಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಇನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫಂಗಿಸೈಡ್ ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಳಸುರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಕೊಡಕ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. ಮೊದಲದು ಶೆಲ್ಫ್ ಲೈಫ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಕಳ್ಸಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುವಂತದ್ದು ವರ್ಮಿ ಕಾಂಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದರಿಂದ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಹೊರತು. ಬಟ್ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲಾ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಕೂಡ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ರೈತರು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಾಯೋದು, ನಾವೇನಾದ್ರು ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯಕ್ಕೆ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೇನೆ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳೋದು, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಒಳಸುರಿಗಳು, ಅದು ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಸಿಗತ್ತಾ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ತರ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಎರಡನೇದು ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅವರು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳು ಬರಬೇಕು, ಯಾವಾಗ ಅದ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ನಕ್ಷೆ ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ರೈತರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸರ ಸ್ನೇಹಿ ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಇವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಬರುವಂತ ಯಾವ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಸಾರಾಂಶವನ್ನ ನೀಡ್ತಾರೆ.
Dr. Chandel, thank you for your presentation. It was very good to hear about the very innovative certification scheme that has been started. And normally certification is a barrier for farmers. How do you think this innovative certification scheme will be an enabler instead of a barrier? And do you think it will help bring in more farmers quickly?
Yes, this is a very interesting question. because for the last 3-4 years of working, we have never worked for the to link the farmer with the market because our primary issue was to reduce his cost of cultivation. But now when trader is coming to him, for example, in case of the major crops, obviously vegetables and apple, so he is asking for the certification. So earlier we used to provide simple certificate with the logo of the department and government of Himachal Pradesh that he is doing natural farming following these principles on this particular piece of land for these and these crops. But now need is felt because when there is a national commission mission on natural farming, so we have to have a new system for the this farmer approach, mitigating the earlier challenge in the PGS case. So I have already explained that many farmers were confused with the PGS kind of the working. So farmer cannot be dependent on external agency. He should not be. For example, as I already said that we are cutting his dependency on the external market. So why then again he is to be dependent on the external agency for the certification when he is doing it? So that's why we have been working on the certification system for the last 2 years. And now a final draft is ready. Farmers are uploading their details on the app created by the state government. And that app is that is very, very interesting. That app is now providing the certification. So with that kind of certification, although the traders are knowing it because by virtue of the credibility of the farmer and the value of the crop, they see that in case of apple, the shelf life is better, turbidity is better, its color is better. They specifically see the practices, how the farmers are preparing different decoctions in and around their home. But despite the fact, because the society, the consumer need it. So this would certainly help the farmers to go with to the market with more credibility, more confidence. And one issue, very interesting issue was raised by you, that what is the challenge? So one more challenge I see here is that when it comes to the natural producer or natural farmer, we see them with X-ray eyes. So it cannot be a magic stick that yes, certain the farmer is having a magic stick and the crop should not have any sign of disease or insect infestation or size or color. It may happen in this crop also, but when it is supported by a certification system, so he would convincingly will go to the trader. So I think I have answered your query.
Yes, you have. Thank you. So Kavita is sorry, our interpreter is caught up in some administrative issues. Thank you, Dr. Chandel. And I'd like to thank all three of you. You really presented the diversity of approaches that state governments are adopting in terms of institutional architecture for promoting agroecology, in terms of what sort of a canvas do they have in front of them when they are creating these ecological farming interventions. But it is very clear that all of you are talking about rural revitalization in many ways. The emphasis on women farmers is a commonality for several states. Some of you are using Atma, some of you are having separate departments, and some with multiple departments. The emphasis on falling back on local farmers as the key to scaling up is very clear. Maybe markets take a different sort of a priority in different interventions, and there's a lot of innovation happening. Innovation that one does not see in the chemical agriculture paradigm at all. And all of this is certainly empowering for farmers, especially the most marginalized farmers, whether it's women farmers or Adivasi farmers. Thank you for your presentation as well as the responses, thought out responses. We will move to our in-person panelists here who've been extremely patient. I'd like to thank Ravindra and Dr. Lisimol for being patient in this session. I'll request the virtual panelists to stay on if they can, but we would completely understand if you have other things to do. So feel free to, leave the Sammelan and this space if you have to. Thank you again once more. May I request Ravindra, Dr. Lisimol, I would seek your patience for a little more time. I would request Ravindra to come in first and talk about what do you see happening across the country, and also flag issues of concern that you are finding, and where do you think the emphasis should be moving forward? After which we'll move to you and about Kerala. Thank you for that.
Sure, Karna. Thank you very much. I would first like to sort of share with you the issues that we're grappling with. When you talk about scaling up, this is not about technology, but the scaling up issues. So first of all, what is that need to be scaled up? There are so much of diversity, so much of innovations happening. Though scaling up is not any one particular route, one particular thing, one particular artifact. So how do you, what is that we are looking at as scaling up? And what is the method of scaling up? And scaling out is farmers to farmer, civil society and all that. But scaling up is basically looking at an intervention by the government, by the collective at the nation level. If you look at that role of the government, what should be the role of the government is a big issue. And then who are the actors? And if government investments is involved, how do you measure? How do you measure success? I mean, if they pay something or if they invest something, they all look for, what are the metrics for measurement? What are the metrics of success? So all these questions comes up because the paradigm of agroecology is completely knowledge-centric, has come out with this thing. While conventionally entire edifice of agriculture department is actually set up for green revolution, which is embedded into three things: an input, a seed, a chemical, and a machine. If you remove these three out of the green revolution, there is no technology. There's not much of technology. Maybe I'm overemphasizing. So the entire edifice, entire extension system, entire government investments are actually to promote these. The instruments of government investments are basically subsidies and then incentives. The entire thing is that, and then investing on fertilizers, industry and all that. So this is the dilemma, fundamental dilemma when you look at scaling up of natural farming. So then the question is, so far the debates used to be, I'm calling it used to be, does it work? Are there farmers? Would the farmers take it up? These kind of debates, and then whether ICR has approved it. If the government has to invest a single rupee, and there is a precedence in the history of agriculture that unless the research system recommends, government cannot invest. So here the research system is in a completely different paradigm. So there is agroecology. If you actually count the number of scientists working in agroecology across India, it not even be 2%. How can you set the system which is actually primarily mandated to green revolution recommend agroecology, which it doesn't understand? And then this is on one side. On the other side, the debates on traceability, certification, we have heard this, and then the debates on whether you call it organic or natural, or cow-based or non-cow-based, women farmers or men farmers. Then you have to produce all the inputs on the farm only. One section of people say, no, you cannot purchase, it has to be on farm. Another section says, without inputs, how the farmers will get. These are all the questions that by and large you hear in the debate. But I think, at this moment, we have passed that scenario. So no longer people ask why we are doing, why agroecology required. So Mr. Vijay Kumar explained that very clearly, multiple emergencies and all that, climate change. Nobody now questions why you need to move agroecology. The pathway is defined. The goal is not defined. It's a deep blue light, which showing you this is the direction, but you don't have one pathway for that. You have to discover the pathway. So then the question, the debates need to be different. Not the debate is, how do you promote innovations? It is location specific. How do you promote innovations in every different agroecology, in every situation? And how do you generate evidence so that the experiences are actually are evaluated, and then for many farmers to adopt that, you have to create that evidence. For public systems to invest, you have to create evidence. What is the mechanism of creating evidence for agroecology innovations? And then most important is we are talking about the debate is locked up into this organic inputs, whether it is non-chemical, organic versus non-chemical, whether you're using chemical inputs or not, or how is the urban consumer confident about your produce being organic? And that's like Dr. Chandel said. Now you see, whenever you go to a farm, you see with a microscope. कहीं पे कुछ पोछा मिलता है कि जिसमें pesticide है, this kind of attitude. So the debate is locked up into non-chemical traceability, urban consumers, value chains, organic value chains, separate infrastructure for that. But at the same time, we do forget that majority of the farmers, 92% of the farmers are smaller marginal farmers. There are 13 crores of such land holdings. Who can easily adopt this? And then all the state nutrition programs. You look at ICDS, bache jo kha rahe hain, and all the children that what they eat, the mothers what they eat, the midday meal school, the school children what they eat, and then the world persons. The entire edifice of the state nutrition programs is publicly supported, and then the entire nutrition and food in the economy in India is primarily through the state investment. So what happens to that? Is there an engagement on that? So can we actually liberate, I will say, liberate the discourse and debate from this only narrowly defined certification, chemicals, traceability markets to urban consumers, and then how the farmer get the best of premium. All this discussion, can we shift this to how can every farmer in the country produce for themselves, eat for themselves, produce for the labor, give good natural products to the farmers, and then how every ICDS, every Anganwadi has these natural products, how to make it happen. And then we need to shift the debate. So without this shift in the debate, then there's no policy. The question that we are asked is, you are saying the natural farming reduces cost, reduces inputs. Then why do you need more money? So why is the farmer selling more? These questions came yesterday also. Why should it be priced more? No, the questions are not relevant at this moment. We need to shift this discourse from this preoccupation of chemicals, non-chemicals only to broader engagement of food systems, and then making the food systems into natural farming products. And then there is also a major issue. This is one set of public discourse that we as a civil society need to engage with, and then engage with and develop evidences, develop examples, and then how the system at large and then the public government can invest on these things. Examples need to be created because there were no examples. The public PDS only knows how to mop up surplus from the green revolution areas, millet, transport it, Food Corporation of India, storage, and then it goes all the way across the country. It doesn't know any other thing. And that's a huge edifice. If you want to say PDS, if you have to have local, even local rice, forget about millets, then you need to have a big architecture. who is engaging with that idea, that architecture, redefining the architecture? You need to have a completely different way of thinking. Probably you should do away with all the mills and let the mills be there in the village. Completely different way of economy that you need to create. And then public economy, public investment economy in India is substantially high. So if we don't discourse on that and then get caught into the smaller debates, then we cannot move forward. So this is one particular, this is the pressure of the civil society on the public systems, on the government to allocate policy, to allocate resources and policies, change towards this will not come unless we as a civil society engage with at large. You just see this today presentation. AP government, AP external, internal together is planning for about 1800 crores. In Chhattisgarh, they're planning for 600 crores. Government of India came up with National Mission on Natural Farming, which has 1500 crores for 4 years for the entire country. So there is a conviction that it should move, but that is not backed up by the investment. But at this point, if you look at across the country, you have heard the states, the Chhattisgarh, AP and Himachal, you know that. And then if you look at the national scenario, the National Mission on Natural Farming is just accepted. It is being public now. Every state is organized to develop their own proposals. This is about 1500 crores. Now, it is not that which state is doing. Every state has to do because it is a national program and money is allocated. So it's an opportunity that the civil society sees and engage with it. That is one. Then in Odisha, there is a tribal welfare department said this is very important for the tribal farmers. And we are sitting on that. It gives a comparative advantage for the tribal farmers to be natural than the chemical. So they started investing 311 crores in a program on natural farming. Then AP, you heard, Maharashtra just announced that they will come up with a natural farming. NABARD came up with a Jiva program where they said all the watershed programs will first experiment with on the completed watersheds in agroecology overlay, and then we shift to agroecology for the entire watershed program in NABARD, sponsored by NABARD. So at the macro level, you have, and then in Odisha Millet Mission is completely into this thing and has actually proved how millets can be taken into the public distribution system. The re-architecturing the PDS to include millets. No, that is some experiment is there. Probably in other states, if you actually work it out, maybe the local indigenous rice can also see its light into the ICDS system. So all these are there. We need to engage with it. And coming to the technology, so another major problem that we are facing is that one large section of the people who articulate for organic farming, particularly people who are into the market chain, they see it as chemical, not having chemicals in the farm, and probably use vermicompost and all these things. But is it really possible that you invest so much on organic inputs externally and then just remove the chemicals and then you get the yields and all that? Do we not look at the crop systems, and then broad base the activities into an agroecology framework rather than just looking at instead of a chemical, whether I use a botanical, a bioinsecticide? That is not the game. Game is to restructure the agriculture. How we bring in multi-crop systems, and then how we build that ecosystem and revive the agroecology, revive the soil biology. That should happen. It's not about organic carbon measurement or the non-chemical measurement. So technically also our appeal, because when you get into into engaging with public systems and defining it or policy advocacy, you are struck with these notions. People come with one notion and then say this has to be the game. So I think as a civil society, I think it's very important for us to move from this chemical based or input based kind of a thing to agroecology based. That articulation should come from everybody, every practice, every kind of this thing, manifestation of agroecology. So that is very important. Yeah. So I mean the primary I mean when you are on the table in discussion, with somebody to design a agroecology program. Suddenly, the preamble is perfect. They all agree. You don't need to convince anybody. But when it comes to operational aspects and where you put your money, then it comes to, shall we give cows to the people? Shall we give vermicompost to the subsidized vermicompost to the farmers? Shall we give, say, incentives for farmers for 3 years so that they'll shift to agroecology? Or shall we subsidize something? Because these are the instruments that the government knows. These are the instruments for 75 years we have been living with in agriculture. We don't know what Vijay Kumar said. No, he has actually given a framework. The framework is very clear. So, I mean, you don't need to convince, just do it. That is the first one he said. He said, no, the biggest problem is mindset. Then question is how you invest on mindset change. Green Revolution has invested on changing the mindset of farmers from one way to using chemicals. Huge investment. For 40 years they invested. Way back in 85 also, there were few takers in Green Revolution. So that is about 20 years. You have studies which says in North Arcot district in Tamil Nadu, the adoption rates are about 15 to 20% in the Green Revolution, which is very simple and chemical and machine embedded technology. But how do you change to agroecology? So that mindset change, how it comes, what is the method? Civil societies can adopt their own methods. But if you talk about pan-India program, government investments, and there are lots of questions, every single line you put it, there are 100% persons who will question that from the research side, from the extension side and all that. And then obviously the lobbies are there. So what is the method of changing the mindsets? Now, how do you do it at scale? Individually, jahan pe good civil society person is there, around that changing is one thing. But engaging with a larger economy, larger society, and then changing the mindset, where do you invest? One brilliant example is that Mandya Divas that the Odisha government did on 10th of this May. Entire state actually talked about millets, bachon se leke bade tak, and in different ways, in their own ways. So we need to discover these ways of investing on the mindset change and belief systems. There are strong belief systems entrenched in extension agencies and the science agencies, scientific institutions. If you go with a strong belief system on Green Revolution, it's very difficult for you to even appreciate what is coming up. You can't see. Many people they'll come and then see the multi-crop systems and say, what is this nonsense? Why things are not in the straight line? Don't mix, do it in the straight lines and then in parts. People cannot appreciate because they don't come for it. So how do you invest? How do you engage with the scientific institutions? It's not their fault, but they will not be rewarded if they are into agroecosystems, agroecology. So how does the civil society and then the farmers are practicing this, engage with the science institutes, scientists, and then talk to them about the need for integration of all these things, integration of livestock and all that. So you have the silos. In the science there are silos, agronomy, entomology, and all that. In department there are silos. Agriculture department, animal husbandry department. Within agriculture department there are 3 departments. You cannot talk to any one department on other issues. Similarly, you cannot talk about insects with an agronomist. No, these anomalies persist in the society. How do you engage with it? That will come from investing in the civil society's engagement with these institutions, public institutions. If you don't engage with them, if you keep aside, we'll be minority. So there are lots of people who are convinced in the bureaucracy, in the government systems, we see day in, day out, in the research system, who wants to do it, but they don't know how. So that is a big challenge, I think, to the civil society. Yeah. So, and then another thing is how we actually develop a dedicated implementation architecture. So this dilemma of whether it should be part of a department or should be separate department is an issue. Because if it's part of the department, then the mindset of the department dominates the whole thing. If it's not part of the department, then convergence issues. So in our experience, we see it is important to have a dedicated architecture, not only for extension, but also for looking at the food systems, looking at integration with the ICDs and all these things. So these are broadly the issues that we confront with when we look at scaling up of agroecology. Thank you.
Kavita, can you just give a translation?
ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಸಾರಾಂಶ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅವ್ರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸ್ಕೇಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಪ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಸಹಜ ಬೇಸಾಯದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ತಲುಪಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು, ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು, ಮತ್ತೆ ವಿಧಾನ ಯಾವ್ದು ಅನುಸರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ ಹೋದಾಗ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಪಾತ್ರ ಏನು, ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳು ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ರೆವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದೀವಿ. ಅದ್ ಮಾತಾಡಿದಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ, ಸುಮಾರು 40 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಸತತವಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿಯನ್ನ ಬದಲಾಯಿಸ್ತಾ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದಾಗ ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ದು, ಹಂಗಾರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಈ ತರ ಪರಿಸರ ಸ್ನೇಹಿ ಕೃಷಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳಾಗಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಬಾರಿ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಸಂಘಟನೆಗಳಾಗಿರ್ಬಹುದು, ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ಸಂಕುಚಿತವಾಗಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ರೈತರು ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇರೋದು ಅರಳಿ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಅಂಶ ಇಲ್ವಾ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿರೋ ರೈತರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾರಾ, ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ಯಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ, ಅಥವಾ ರೈತರು ಇನ್ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅವರ ಜಮೀನಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಬರುವಂತ ಆಹಾರ ವಿಷಮುಕ್ತವಾಗಿದ್ಯಾ ಅನ್ನುವ, ವಿಷಮುಕ್ತ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಪದ ಏನಿದೆ ರೈತರ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೊರೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆ ಹೊರತು ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಪಾತ್ರ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವಿಸ್ತರಣೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ದೇನೆ ಸಂಕುಚಿತ ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳು ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಳಸುರಿಗಳು ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಒಳಸುರಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದಾಗ ಮುಂಚೆ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕವಾಗಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಇವಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಪರಿಸರ ಪೂರಕವಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಒಳಸುರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದಾರ. ಇಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಸೀಮಿತ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಚಿತ್ರಣ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು PDS ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಕೊಡುವಂತಹ ಶಾಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಾಗಿರ್ಬಹುದು, ಅಂಗನವಾಡಿಗಳಾಗಿರ್ಬಹುದು, ಅಥವಾ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ರೇಷನ್ ಹಂಚೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬಹುದು, ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜನಸಾಮಾನ್ಯರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಒಂದು ವಿಸ್ತೃತವಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಯೋಜನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಹಾಕಿ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತ ಕೆಲಸಗಳು. ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತದ್ದು ಬಂಡವಾಳ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ವೈಜ್ಞಾನಿಕವಾಗಿ ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ಕಟ್ಟೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸಾಂಸ್ಥಿಕ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣಕ್ಕೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಆವಾಗ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ತರಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ, ಹೆಚ್ಚು ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಕೂಡ ತಲುಪಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಒಡಿಶಾ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಗ್ರಾಮ ಸ್ತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ವರ್ಗಗಳು ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ತಮ್ಮ ಪೌಷ್ಟಿಕವಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಆಹಾರದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ರೈತರು ಬೆಳೆಯುವಂತಹ ಬಹುಬೆಳೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಬಹುಬೆಳೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಬರೀ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಇಂದ ಬಯೋಪೆಸ್ಟಿಸೈಡ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಆಗಿರ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ನಮ್ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಾಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಬಹುಬೆಳೆ ಆಗಿದ್ಯಾ, ಮಣ್ಣಿನ ಫಲವತ್ತತೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ, ಜೀವ ವೈವಿಧ್ಯವಿದ್ಯಾ, ಇಂಥ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಂಡವಾಳ ವಿನಿಯೋಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅವು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿರೋ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ವಾ, ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೀವಾ ಅನ್ನೋ ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ನಾವು ತುಂಬಾ ಉತ್ತಮವಾಗಿ ಈ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವಾಗ್ಲೇ ವಿಜಯ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಸರ್ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ, ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಾಗ ಆ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬದಲಾಗಬೇಕಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ವರ್ಗ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಬೇರೆ ಯೋಜನೆಗಳಿಗಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳಾಗಿರ್ಬಹುದು, ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲ ಹಸಿರು ಕ್ರಾಂತಿ ಇಂದಾನೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅನ್ನೋ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಈ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳನ್ನ ನೋಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಮನಸ್ಸು ತೆರ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ನಾವು ಕೇಳುವಂತದ್ದು ಬರೀ ರೈತರ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕುವಂತ ಒತ್ತಡಗಳಾಗಿಲ್ದೇನೆ ಅವರು ಕಟ್ಟುವಂತ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣದ ಕೆಲಸದ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರನೇ ನಾವು ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ನೋಡಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನು ನೀಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
I would like to thank you, Kavita. I would like to invite Dr. Lisimol Vadukoot. She is from the government of Kerala. Yesterday, we had the Agriculture Minister of Kerala speak here and mention the first carbon neutral seed farm, organic seed farm, which is coming up. Madam here leads, she is the head of the seed farm, and I will invite her to talk about her work and what Kerala is doing. And Rohit, may we have Dr. Lisimol's presentation up?
Good morning. Let me start now. Good morning to all. First of all, I feel so blessed to be in front of such a good audience, real organic enthusiasts in the city of palaces. I'm also coming from a palace. My farm is situated near Alva Palace in Kerala. So I thank the organizers of ASHA for giving me such a great opportunity to share my experience, organic farming experience on the banks of River Periyar. I am the Assistant Director of Agriculture, State Seed Farm Alva, owned by Kerala government, and working there for 5 years. And the farm started in 1919, and the centenary was celebrated in 2019. And the farm was started by the kings, and the first crop was sugar cane, and later the government was formed. It was converted to state seed farm. That is the history of the farm. Next. Slow. Next one. This is my farm. There is no roadway to the farm. The farm is full of constraints. With this presentation, I would like to impart confidence in farmers who are facing only constraints in their cultivation practices. This is the example of constraints. There is no roadway. This is surrounded by river. We have to come by boat or raft or by walk through railway tracks for 20 minutes to reach the farm. And this is the centenary logo. And for the last 10 years, we are certified organic farm under NPOP, Lacon certification. And there are, in Kerala, we are blessed with various type of agro-ecological zones. We have 23, and we are coming in the middle. Actually, Kerala, there are 3 types of agro-ecological zones. 3 types: hilly types, midland, and the coastal land. And we are coming in the midland, in the middle of Kerala. Next. The total geographical area of the farm is 5.32 hectares, that is 13.5 acres. Mainly paddy is cultivated, that is in less than 3 hectares. And other crops cultivated are millets, chia, coconut, banana, tubers, nutmeg, vegetables, passion fruits, everything comes up well. Then we have laborers in the farm. It's a government setup. We have got 15 laborers. And at this time, I would like to emphasize that organic farming will be successful only with integrated farming system. And we have Deshi breed cows. We can hold only 6 numbers. When it exceeds, we have to sell them. Then Malabari goats, Kuttanadan ducks, about 100 numbers. Malabari goats increases in number in every month. It's a good way of remuneration to farmers. Then poultry. In addition to ducks, we have other poultry also. Then the fish pond, it is full of fishes always. And the aim is not to sell fish. The water from the fish pond that we channel through the irrigation channel, and the ammonia is met with the changing water. Next one. The major activities, we are conducting so many activities. The major activity is seed production, and seed production, initially it was high yielding varieties. Now we are concentrating on traditional varieties. Live rice museum is also set up. Any farmer can visit the farm. They can see the live plants. We will replace it season after season. So all the traditional varieties and the new high yielding varieties are exhibited, not like a museum. It's a live rice museum. And we are producing all the inputs, what we need for cultivation, we are producing in the farm itself. Organic growth promoters, pest repellents, mycorrhiza, everything we are producing in the farm itself. Then no waste, nothing is waste in our farm. This is converted to compost, vermicompost. Everything is put in the vermicompost tank or vermi wash unit. So we can meet the input requirement of organic manure. Then we are rearing redweed bugs that, you know, that is Irapedian chenchai in Malayalam, redweed bug that kill pest. We can rear it and multiply and release in the field. And we are also growing vegetables, tubers, especially rare tubers, then fruit plants, other planting material production, like fruit plant seedlings. All activities are going on there. Then we are also doing value addition also. Main activity is seed production. We are producing truthfully labeled seeds of local breeds, local varieties, and also high yielding varieties, FS1, FS2. I'm happy to see that our productivity is on par with the good agriculture practice productivity, because we are doing organic farming. No one will believe. You can come and see the field. The productivity, I have only less than 3 hectares, 2.5 hectares of paddy, and annually I'm producing the seed, paddy seed. You know, that will be very pure. That is between 10 and 12 tons per year. And that is on par with the good agricultural practice that we follow in other farms. Then maintenance of integrated farming system units. I told you already, the maintenance of the all these animals are, there's a 365-day, 24-hour activity. Then we are cultivating millets in this season. Now it is flowering. Then chia, superfood, the chia. Then we are doing training programs also, a one-day program. All the practices which we are following there will be given as theory, and in afternoon, the practicals, the preparation of organic growth promoters, everything in one day program. Then we are also, this is a scenic place. So farm tourism also, where we have a lot of constraints to reach there. All the constraints are being solved using the funds of RKV, RIDF, etc. So soon it will be solved. Still, with the limitations, we are practicing farm tourism also. This is some of the activities I have shown here. Next. This is a variety called Japan Violet. This have a special quality that up to 45 days, the leaves will be purple colored. So we can identify the weeds easily and handpick them before the flowering stage. The seeds of the weeds will not fall into the ground. So when we when we grow this Japan White for 1 season or 2 seasons, we can eradicate the weeds to very good extent. And also one peculiarity I have noticed that the Japan Violet attracts that rice bug. So in patches, we are growing Japan Violet. All the bugs will go to that. But still, there is no too much reduction in the yield. They will simply sit on that plant. There's also a trap for rice bugs. This is Raktashali. This is it's a red rice, rich in antioxidants, anti-aging properties. I think almost all of you know about this variety. Then next one, this is Nyavara, speciality of Kerala for Karkidaga Kanyi. This is a special variety. We are growing both golden Nyavara and black Nyavara. Next one. This is Vadakan Valarikaima. This is a different variety, black. This is Jaiva. This is a hybrid, not local. This is very tall, but will not fall down. This is high yielding variety, Manuratna. You can see any pest and disease are affecting in the farm. No weeds also. This is our ragi intercropping also. The area is limited, still we are practicing as intercropping. Next one. This is ecological engineering. Always we are doing flowering plants in the field for ecological engineering purpose. Next one. This is chia bloom. Next one. We are marketing the seeds also. Next one. This is a rare tuber. We call it air potato, adatapa. Next one. This is our vegetable cultivation for seed production. Next one. This is our mycorrhiza production. We are producing our own mycorrhiza for our purpose, and also we are selling them for eco shops, through eco shops also. Then integrated farming system includes, I already told you, Kuttanadan ducks, Kasargod dwarf cows, Malabari goats, then pisciculture, other poultry, vermitechnology, Asola, everything we are following. Next one. This is the duck rice system. It's the peculiarity of our farm. We are using ducks for disease, pest, and weed control. This is a very effective system in the duck and rice. I have explained in coming slides. This is our duck shelter, and we are selling ducks also. Next one. No. This is we cannot imagine. There are so much advantages of rearing ducks. We are releasing ducks at an age of 15 days after transplanting. 15 days after transplanting. Larger spacing should be given for the plants, and it should be transplanted in a line. So the ducks will never damage the plants if they are released 15 days after transplanting. And the advantages of duck rice farming is the growth of rice plants is boosted because they always peck the field and it is always aerated. So the root system will be very strong and more shooting will be there. Then the next, the control weeds, all the germinating weed seeds are consumed by the ducks. So there will be no much weeds except few weeds that should be mechanically hand weeded from the. Just read. Okay. 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 Next one. The cows we are rearing for preparation of organic promoters like Jivamridam, Panchagavya, Kunapachila, and vermiwash. And cow urine, with cow urine, we are making the glycidia plus cow urine pest repellent and the grazing control speeds. Next one is Malabari gods. Next one is our fishes. Next. This is vermi wash unit. We have vermi compost and also vermi wash units. Next one. This is amino fish. We are producing all these products. Next. These are the value-added products from the farm, the coconut oil, rice with bran, the owl means rice flakes, then pickles, turmeric powder, then put to, I don't know, you know. Next one, this red wheat bugs, azola. Next, this is training programs with practicals. Next one, this farm tourism. Next, these are the ecological engineering practices we follow above ground and below ground. If there is no time, I will cut short. Next one. Next one. This is below ground also, that is important. Above ground we all know. Below ground also additional soil ameliorants like dolomite or lime, then application of worm, then biofertilizers, application of pseudomonas and less compaction of soil, mulching, etc. Next one. We are moving to net zero carbon. Because the Department of Agriculture has entrusted Kerala Agriculture University to assess the carbon neutrality, and the result is okay. And we are expecting the declaration on December 10th next month. These are the steps involved. They have quantified the emissions and we are all in carbon credit status. So only very few steps towards carbon neutrality that we have already done. Everything, conversion of office energy to solar. The boat is going to be converted to solar, and the LED bulbs, everything we have changed. That is. Thank you.
It's so excellent to see one farm, that too inside the government setup, do so many things, and maybe rarely will we find something like this. And the love with which you are describing all the things that happen there is the same love that a farmer who's having a holistic view feels about what they're doing in their own farm. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅವರು ಕೃಷಿ ಇಲಾಖೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಕೇರಳ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಜೊತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಳುವ ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನದಿ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಜಮೀನಿನಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಹೆಕ್ಟೇರ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಇವ್ರು ಕೃಷಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟಿಗ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಒಳಗೊಂಡದ್ದು, ಬರೀ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹೌದಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ ಅದ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ರೀತಿಯ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳನ್ನು ಸಾಕ್ತಾ, ಮುಂಚೆ ಕಬ್ಬು ಬೆಳೆಯಕ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದಂತ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ 100 ವರ್ಷ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಶತಮಾನ ಕಳೆದಿದೆ ಆ ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ಮಿನಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದನ್ನ ಕಳೆದು ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತ ಜಾಗ, ಬರೀ ಕಬ್ಬಿಂದ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ ಈಗ ಬಹುಬೆಳೆ ಪದ್ಧತಿಗೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತದ್ದು ತುಂಬಾ ಶ್ಲಾಘನೀಯ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಭತ್ತ ಎಷ್ಟು ರೀತಿಯ ಭತ್ತವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಚಿತ್ರ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. ಆ ಭತ್ತ ತಳಿಗಳು, ಪಾರಂಪರಿಕ ತಳಿಗಳು, ಅವು ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಸಂರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ತರಕಾರಿ, ಗೆಡ್ಡೆಗೆಣಸು, ಸಿರಿಧಾನ್ಯಗಳು ಇವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಳಸುರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಅವ್ರದೇ ಆದಂತ ಜಮೀನಿನಲ್ಲಿ ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ, ಬರೀ ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಒಳಸುರಿಗಳಲ್ಲದೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ರೀತಿಯ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳನ್ನ ಸಾಕ್ತಾ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಹಸು ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಬಾತುಕೋಳಿ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳು ಇವೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಕಿ, ಇವರು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಬಾತುಕೋಳಿ ಮತ್ತು ಭತ್ತ ಬೆಳೆಯುವಂತ ಒಂದು ವಿಧಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಜೋಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವ್ರು ಒಂದು ವಿವರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಂದು ಜಪಾನ್ ವೈಲೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ತಳಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ, ಅದು ಸುಮಾರು 45 ದಿವಸ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಲರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಕಲರ್ ಕಂಡಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕಳೆಗಳು ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ಕೀಳಕ್ಕೆ ಸುಲಭವಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಕಳೆ ನಿರ್ವಹಣೆ ಮಾಡುವಂತದ್ದು. ಅದು ಕೀಳಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ಕಲರ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗುಟ್ ತೋರಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಸುಮಾರು. ಸೊ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ತಳಿಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಅವರು ಬೇರೆ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಹಿಳೆಯರನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಡಿಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಮೌಲ್ಯವರ್ಧನೆ ಕೂಡ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲೇನೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಟೂರಿಸಂ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ರೈತರು ಎಷ್ಟು ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜಮೀನಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬೆಳೆದಂತಹ ಅದನ್ನ ವಿವರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅವರು ವಿವರಿಸ್ತಾ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಜನರನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರ ಜಮೀನಿಗೆ ಕರೀತಾರೆ, ಬಂದ್ ನೋಡ್ಬಹುದು, ಕುತ್ಕೋಬಹುದು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವನ್ನ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಅವು ಕೂಡ ಅನುಭವಿಸಬಹುದು ಸಂತೋಷವನ್ನ ಅನ್ನೋ ವಿಷಯದನ್ನ ಅವ್ರು ಹಂಚ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆ.
Thank you again. May I invite Dr. Anupam Paul, who's just retired from the West Bengal government's Agriculture Department. There've been wonderful things that have been initiated by him and a whole team of other officials in the department. Dr. Anupam Paul, may I invite you to please join us here. He will be representing a colleague of his, and very quickly, in 5-6 minutes, he will talk about a new software for flowering asynchrony map in diversity blocks. When you are into paddy conservation, it becomes very important to make sure that you have a calendar where the flowering does not happen at the same time. And a software has been created for that.
Find out folders.
And is he in the AV room?
I am there. Please wait. I am preparing it. Please wait.
Okay. And to mention a few more lines about Anupam Da, as well as what West Bengal government has been up to. When we talk about agroecology, it's not just about giving up chemicals in your farm, right? It begins with your seed systems. It begins there, but also has to think about what are the processing technologies that will be given, where the farmers will have control over value addition, and finally, what investments on markets also changing in favor of such farmers. In the case of Bengal, the government there has used RKVY, Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana funds, quite innovatively to revive traditional land races, which were produced, multiplied, conserved first, and then multiplied and distributed to local farmers through the state farms that they have. And when a government department gets into conservation, then they'll have to think of these kinds of apps. And what he wants to present now, the software that he wants to, I think.
From here.
You will
Actually.
present from there? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How do we train the camera on you? Okay.
Later I will be there.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So thank you very much. So it's a new application for those who are conserving rice varieties and other crop varieties. This is very unique system that has been developed by my superintending engineer. I requested him to develop this software for farmers. Let's see. Please open. Oh, there. It's there. I will operate it. First of all, those who are conserving rice varieties, they have several varieties and several dates of flower. So if you are to maintain the purity of the seeds, you need to isolate the varieties in such a way that there will not be any cross-pollination. In order to avoid cross-pollination, you need to keep at least 5 days interval. So let's see the rice varieties. I have mentioned some rice varieties alphabetically. You see the date of flowering. Then, what is it? Date of showing, and then flowering days. That means when you show the crop, and in one particular time you will find flower. So you just calculate the days to flower. In first case, Aguripak variety, you see the after transplanting, 94 days after transplanting, you get flower. So 94 days, then 90 days, there are several flowers to date. You can see it clearly. Now you have 20 varieties, say 50 varieties, say 200 varieties, say 400 varieties. We do it usually through manual means in one particular plot. Let's take the example. Now, clear set, and I am clearing all these things. First of all, I mentioned the developer, Mr. B. Shamanto, superintending engineer B. He is in irrigation department. He has developed this particular software. Now, first, I will give you the software to everybody, those who are conserving.
Dr. Anupamda,
yeah.
Can you please just give an overview, because we'll close at 12:30.
Okay.
Overview.
Just overview.
I would encourage all participants to walk up to Anupamda and get more details.
Now, the number of varieties, I am showing the number of varieties, say 24 varieties. You are working with 24 varieties, then it's okay. Now, these 25 varieties are from 1 to 24. Now, number of flowering dates. Now, flowering date, number of flowering dates. So, give the gap of 5 days, right? 5? Yes. Now, okay. Now, yes. Okay. Yes. Then the third point. Yeah. No? And then, enter the number of columns. I mean, how many plots you can, you need. So we have 24 varieties. So we need to transplant 24 varieties in 24 plots. So how many plots we can calculate? So 6 into 4. No, give 6 columns, 6 columns, 6 columns and 4 rows. Now 24 plots are there. Yes, I've done it. Now arrange plots. Now see that your plots are being arranged. All the plots have been arranged. You can see very easily. And how many, you see the number of plots are used. You can see. So there are some left out varieties. The left out varieties can be arranged different way in sheet number 2. That I can show you later individually, those who are interested. A little bit complicated, but very easy to arrange these varieties. 50, 100, 200, all the varieties can be arranged similar way. Actually, Kavita ji has recently told me that time is short. So I need to finish it very early right now. So those who are interested, please call me, and I must present myself who I am. So I am going there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's passionate individuals like you who are making a change, Anupamda. Thank you so much. The kind of work that you have initiated and, for seed conservation work to move forward in governments or by anyone, a seed conservator, farmer, figuring out what tools might help them is a very useful intervention. Thank you for that. So I just want to say that, I think what we have seen in this session is that when there are certain individuals who are convinced and who feel passionate, within the government setup also, scaling up is very much possible, and those spaces can be inside an agriculture university, inside a department. You can even create a new department. It could be any of these things. And we seem to be having efforts in front of us, which are looking at both individual farmers being helped, as well as organizing them into collectives and strengthening or building community institutions so that these interventions are sustainable. Let's remember that chemical intensive paradigm depended on farmers becoming individualistic, whereas agroecology depends on farming community becoming communitarian. And therefore investments both on the science and technology, how do farmers predict from one to the other, as well as how do you sustain the intervention by those institutions also getting stronger and stronger are very important. We've heard that emphasis is being placed on production systems as well as the marketing end. All of these are required, and one hopes that more state governments will actually have both the political will as well as the roadmap that is required to actually scale up. Merely having political will also does not help, but political will is important. Karnataka probably once had the only chief minister in the country who would make it a point to spend one night every month in an organic farmer's house, visit the farm as well as sleep in the house. And indirectly, the whole village would get spruced up, and suddenly development of a certain sort would spring up in that village. But that's only a symbolic expression of one's political will. I'm saying that that is required, but very, very important would be the how roadmap. And I think civil society has a role to play. Various individuals who are sitting here, including social entrepreneurs, will have a role to play. I think collectively we can make this dream come true. And we also heard, this is Dr. Anupam Paul. Thanks for joining us. Collectively, I think it is very much possible to do this scaling up meaningfully and mindfully in a short time. It's very much possible. Let's work towards it. Thank you all. Before we close this session, once again, I'd like to announce that all parallel sessions will happen this afternoon, all topics. When you see a room number that says C, C13, C14, C15, and so on, don't look for rooms. C is the convocation hall building, this very building. Look for spaces that are labeled as C. I wish somebody would say this in Kannada. Kavita is not here. So all the C designated parallel sessions are in this convocation building. Don't go looking for rooms with a door that will open into walled space. A corner up there on the first floor will be C13, for instance. On this side will be C14. When you see rooms designated as S, they are in the Science Bhavan. And on the ground floor, there are 3 rooms, S1, S2, S3. On the first floor, there are 3 rooms, S4, S5, S6. On the second floor, there are 4 rooms, 10 rooms in all in the Science Bhavan. Across the stadium from the Science Bhavan are the auditoria. One is called Nala Block. It has Block 1 and Block 2. And next, hope that today you are not going to have to face the difficulty that you faced yesterday, where people were scrambling around. On behalf of the organizers, I apologize for the difficulty caused. Let's spend a full 3.5 hours in making good use of the parallel session timing today. You had to say something?
Sorry for this kind of interruption. You are given a sheet, one sheet having names in 3 languages. These are the farm experts who are going to speak at the respective places. So from 12:30 to 1:30, there is a farm expert session at the respective places. From 2 to 5:30, there is another thematic sessions in the same hall. 2 to 5:30. And in two parts, in repeated things. So 2 to 5:30 is thematic. 12